There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, neither do I.
1, 2, 3, set, go!
Hello and welcome to the Power Chord Hour podcast. Hope you're doing well out there. As always, I'm your host, Anthony Merchant, welcoming you to another episode of the show. And I don't know, maybe you saw this one teased a couple weeks ago on social media, and the iPhone gods, or maybe just this piece of shit lightning adapter that I have, one of them didn't want us to do the podcast. And we were talking about doing this a few weeks ago, didn't happen. And now I'm happy that it is happening, and I'm very happy to be here. It's been a while, but Kyle Steven, my boy, who is on here quite a bit for our kind of like resident pop punk expert, I feel like, you and Zach. But today, whenever you're listening to this, we are talking about Plus 44's best and only album, When Your Heart Stops Beating. This one turned 15 this year, about a month ago. Actually, we're recording this, it's December 11th. And it came out November 14th, 2006. So that thing just turned 15 less than a month ago. And we're just going to talk about it and kind of do our thing like we did on the, I guess the last one we did like this would have been, no, I was going to say the Green Day Insomniac, but I guess we did the Take Off Your Pants and Jacket one earlier this year. But I guess before we start, I got to ask you the big question, dude. Kyle, how the hell you doing?
I'm doing real good, man. Just been hanging out, working, doing the damn thing. And
like Travis Barker doing the damn thing.
Oh, of course, man.
Famous
Give him the
stars
Kyle
and
some.
Hell yes, dude. On brand with this episode. And I mean, we're gonna get into this record. Starting off, I know both of us. This is an album both of us heard like when it came out. This is one we can both do. Like we've done albums before in the Blink universe where like I heard it years after the fact. Some of them you heard, like Boxcar Racer. I know you heard that like when it came out, right? Yeah, you heard Boxcar Racer when that came out.
Yeah, I was pretty on top of that one for sure.
Okay, so this is like my first one where I was privy to Blink, and like I pre-ordered this. I remember getting the Cliff Diving 7-inch as an Inner Punk bonus with it. Like I remember all that. I remember being game and ready for it. But like initially, did you like this record? Did you have positive thoughts when it came out? Because what I noticed, and I've always liked this record, but something I noticed while getting ready for this episode, I think I like this album more than I even used to. Like I think this album, I think it's aged really well. But I mean, from the get go, did you like it? Because I know you like the record. That's why we're doing this episode. But like, were you into it from the get go, or did it take a while to get into?
I'm kind of on the same boat as you, where I liked it when it came out. Like I thought it was really unique, and like the sound was a little bit different than like the Blink thing. But yeah, you're right. As it got better with age, and now that I'm older and kind of technically kind of more closer to Mark's age when he wrote this album, it feels a lot more relatable than it did back then.
I agree with that, and I know that's something you and I talked about when we tried doing this fucking episode a few weeks ago, or I guess about a week ago. Mm-hmm. But kind of that where you start realizing, yeah, like I just turned, because that's the other thing with this album. It came out, my birthday is November 13th, and I always remember it coming out the day after my 14th birthday. But like I was 14 when it came out. I'm now 29. And if you think about that, yeah, Mark's about, I think we talked about this like mid-30s. He's probably around 34, 35 on this album. So like if you look at that, I mean, as a 14-year-old trying to relate to a 34, 35-year-old person, that's going to be a lot harder. Whereas I'm 29 and I'm listening to this record now going like, oh my God, these are some of like Mark's best songs, which I think totally goes with that, which, yeah, like we are currently now in kind of that headspace where Mark probably was writing this. Though we didn't just lose our multi-platinum, really successful band. That I guess that'd be the one difference. I don't know if we can relate in those terms.
It is literally the only difference.
That is the only difference. So yeah, we're gonna get right into this and do our little track by track. But we're gonna start with the first song. I don't know if you know the correct way to say this, because I've never really heard anyone say it out loud. I always just call it lycanthrope. Is that what you say? Because that doesn't sound like a real word. Or like I'm fucking... It is a word, but it sounds like I'm fucking it up somehow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly how you say it. Because the only other way I would say it back in the day was just lycanthrope. But
okay,
like, I'm flipping the O and the R, so like it doesn't sound right. So
it sounds more wizardry. It sounds very like some Dungeons and Dragons shit. However you just said it,
dude. Hell yeah,
man,
that's my shit.
Lycanthrope.
No, that's how I said it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the way you used to say it. That sounds kind of like
lycanthrope.
Yeah, that does. That sounds fantasy-ish. I don't know.
Because a lycanthrope is basically just like a werewolf kind.
The actual word, the word that the actual title is.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I think I heard that somewhere because I knew there's some kind of connection to werewolf, but I had no clue what it was. I didn't think the song was about werewolves, but I thought it was connected some way. So okay, it has to do with the name of the song.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I mean, like right away, I got to say, a very strong opener. Like this song, like wastes no time. It doesn't fuck around. There's no, and this is, I realize this is something that's gonna come up. I think in this episode, it's inevitable, like quite a few times. But like comparing and contrasting this to "We Don't Need to Whisper," which whether or not that's fair, because I know they're different. They're both the first post-Blink albums, and they both came out roughly around the same time. So when I think about that and I look at both of them, like, you look at like Angels and Airwaves, and it's kind of that beginning, it's kind of more of a build. It's different than Blink, I mean, sometimes Blink would build up to shit, but not in that same way. But with Plus 44, it's so different. Plus 44, they just go right into it. There's no like build up or tease or some kind of like synthy intro or soundscape. Like, this thing just right away kind of like punches you in the fucking face. Like this is a really strong opener. I think it's one of the best songs on the album. Not my favorite, but one of the best. I'd say at least top 5. And I think it makes for a very strong start.
Yeah, for sure. It like what almost blows my mind, but it doesn't, based on like if you look at like how labels see things. This definitely really should have been the lead single.
I 100% agree with you there. And I think it wasn't lead single. I know it was technically a quote unquote single, but if I remember it correctly, it's one of those ones where they weren't pushing it by then. It was they called it a single, but I don't know how much they really pushed it. Like, I don't really remember it being anywhere. Whereas like I could have seen this all over rock radio. Like in 2006, 2007, like that era, like this is a song that I think should have been pushed for radio. I totally think this was, and in a good introduction too, because it's not so far off of the Blink realm. You know what I mean? It's not so left field, but it's also it's not just a straight up Blink ripoff. Yeah,
like I said, like I can see why like a label wouldn't choose this as like a lead off single, but like a follow up or maybe even like a third, like an actual pushed single. And like it does the typical Mark Hoppus thing in this song with just, it's got the dark lyrics, but the really like kind of happy upbeat tones, which is clearly Mark's niche. Like that's just what he's known for, especially as the years have gone by. Anytime he talks about a new record, he always says this is one of our darkest records, or the lyrics are really dark. But then you hear the music and it's just like, it's the same kind of thing where it's always upbeat. But I don't know, like I think, like you said, it has just enough of a difference from the Blink tone to like differentiate itself. But it also, like, it has that familiarity without it having to like be like a carbon copy, like, oh, he's doing a Blink thing. It's just enough to like sound a little different with some of the little synths, and just even the guitar tones are different. And it's just one of those good songs that if they pushed it, it would have, I think, gotten a lot more, not just airplay, because this didn't get any airplay, but I think this would have given the band a little bit more of like some notoriety of it.
Yeah, because really, and it's something that I guess I knew anyway, because I remember them being around and, you know, kind of the shows they'd play and everything, and that they would kind of play second fiddle on certain shows and stuff. Like, Plus 44 wasn't really all that big. Like, it was probably in a lot of ways a flop when you think about, I mean, you're only off. I mean, when did Self-Titled come out? 03?
Oh, 03.
So, I mean, 3 years after that, I mean, that album was pretty damn big for Blink. So, I mean, you got to think of, like, the sales of that record, and this is your first, like, you have 2/3 of Blink-182. I mean, the breakup was huge. It was everywhere, like, a huge pop culture thing. And, you know, to have 2/3 of the band release your first album post-Blink, I mean, yeah, and I love this record. I'm not shitting on it, but like, yeah, it was kind of it was a commercial flop. I think we can agree on that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially because it's on a major label, and you know, like you said, you have 2/3 of Blink on a major label.
And this is
pushing a
2000.
record.
This is 2006 too. This isn't like, you know, I mean, even present day, I know they're still big, but it's like it's not even Blink in 2021 with more of like, you know, that legacy. I mean, this is Blink, as in they'd like just, it had only been a few years since. And not only that, but another thing I think a lot about on this record, it's only 5 years after Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, which when you look at the songwriting and stuff, could you imagine Mark writing this song during that era? Like, think 5 years earlier, like where Blink was, like early 2000s. It's crazy how like the difference in the progression in, I think, a short time. I think in 5 years, like, it's quite, maybe even more than from Take Off Your Pants and Jacket to Self-Titled. Like, I think maybe even more in this one, I go, oh shit, like that. Also the breakup, like the aggression and stuff in this that you never, I think, would have heard in the older songs. Like, I mean, obviously he always had, we talk about how he has the more mature songs in Blink, but not, that doesn't mean more aggressive, where these songs, like, there's some bitterness in them and stuff, whereas you don't really hear those in a lot of I think like earlier Blink songs. At least I don't hear the bitterness as much.
It's kind of the same thought process to me as like when Tom went and did Boxcar, because the big thing about Boxcar was the darker elements, the darker tones, the darker lyrics. And so it was such a departure from the Blink sound that like you couldn't put the two together, and you couldn't really hear, like, if, like, you know, it was Take Off Your Pants and Jacket and obviously then Boxcar Racer, that sonically is so different. And then when they go to the Self-Titled album, like, obviously there's some darker elements on both sides, and obviously there's some bitterness there, but Boxcar was Tom's release to start those really dark songs on his own and just do the tones that he liked. And this is Mark's version of doing something on his own, keeping the same elements of what he likes in his songwriting and just kind of turning it up to 11.
You know, you just kind of made me think of something, and I want to know what you think, because it also, I could just be kind of pulling it out of my ass, but like thinking about that and what you're saying with, in a way, like Tom kind of did that angry, loud, experimental album with Boxcar Racer that Mark never got to do, like you were just talking about. Do you think that at all has to do with why those, like, again, like comparing the two post-Blink records, like why Tom definitely kind of went more away from, like, to me, Plus 44 doesn't sound straight up like Blink, but if you're looking at Plus 44 and Angels and Airwaves, Plus 44 seems more like the logical step after Blink. Like, sound-wise, what those guys would do. I wonder if, because of that, Tom had more of a, no, I'm going to go do my own thing, because he I don't know, maybe I'm just like thinking out loud here as it's coming out, but like he kind of wrote an album. It doesn't sound straight up like Plus 44, but that is kind of his angry, bitter album, Boxcar Racer. But I guess he kind of got it out of his system a few years earlier. So by the time the first Ava record came out, you really don't have anything. You know what I mean? You don't really have that side of you. You're just kind of doing, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to fuck with synths now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I love this song. I think it's a great opener. I mean, you got anything else for this one? I mean, I besides, I think it's really good. I think it sets the album a pretty good, the tone of the record. Which another part, not every line of the song, but like I think one of the things of this record is you always kind of have that, is this song about Tom, in the back of your head for a good chunk of it. And I don't think this whole song is about Tom at all, but it is one where I go, it sounds like it could be. And I mean, you kind of get that the rest of the album. You know, it kind of sets that up.
And that's kind of the thing. Like, I don't want to put all of that into like Mark's lyrics. I don't want to speak for Mark's lyrics by any means. But yeah, I mean, it definitely could be, you know, it could totally be seen as like the fallout of Blink, kind of where do we go from here? You know, we had this thing and now it's gone. And now I have to kind of like what Tom did, kind of transform himself into, you know, kind of the soul, you know, singer songwriter, and kind of changing himself to differentiate himself from Blink, but still be like, hey, I am Mark Hoppus. Like, it's still in my blood. It's just, I'm trying to step away from that for a bit.
I mean, it is interesting too, because when you think of, you think of this record, and same with Tom with his first post Blink record, that like, it has to be hard. Like, even things of picking out the first single, like the sound of the band and all this shit. Because again, like you did come from such a big band, like they had to even know, and I don't know, maybe they didn't, and maybe they were trying to break away from it. But like at that point, you were known as the guys in Blink for the last decade basically before that. So I mean, this is a pretty big. I mean, again, like there was a lot of eyes on them. Like there was a lot of free publicity, I think, for this album and Angels and Airwaves, just where people were like, "What are they going to do?" You know, I mean, if not people even wanting to hear the songs themselves, they just curiosity, just going, what's it going to sound like? What are they doing? And I think with I just think with this record, and same with Ava one, trying to find that balance had to be hard for them. You know what I mean? Like, do we go left? You know what I mean? Do we abandon the Blink sounds altogether and do something totally different? Do we try to keep a little bit of that so people remember it? You know what I mean? Remember where we came from, and so we don't lose everything that people liked about us. Like, I'm sure that had to be a fairly daunting kind of thing. I also know that they didn't do interviews. Plus 44 didn't do interviews for like I think a year before this record came out. And I'm sure part of it came from that is you're going to keep getting questions about like Blink and comparing it to this and that. And while you're writing, that's probably only going to put more pressure on you. You know what I mean? To be reminded constantly of that like past success and the things that you're known for, like that's probably why they kind of stayed away from the limelight for a while there. Because it has to be a very hard thing to put your first. I would think anything they released after this was much easier, but I bet if you asked them one of the hardest like albums to release, I would imagine it's the first one after Blink broke up.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you can probably say that for all of them. Like, you know, you know, any band that comes from any other band, you know, that first follow-up record or single, EP, whatever you do, it's going to be hard to, you know, get that out and, you know, kind of have it, you know, make its own name for itself without having to ride the coattails of your previous success.
Yeah, no, I think totally. And I mean, I don't know, as time has went on, I mean, I think this album stands for itself, but it's one of those, maybe we talked about those Boxcar Racer, I can't remember, but like the only thing that sucks is I think it still has like a cult following, but I feel like anyone listening to this album still is probably Blink fans.
Yeah, for sure. And I honestly, I think one of the greatest things about just this record and like the beginning of it is the next song, Baby Come On, because that's even further departure from like the Blink style, and that's like all I hear is just Mark's like heart and soul in that song.
That actually, you wanna move on to that one now?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, this song's awesome.
This one is, I know I said on the last one, like on Lycanthrope, like one of the best songs on the album, but like this one's in like top 3 territory. Maybe this is like top 3, and even as far as Mark Hoppus songs go, this is I think one of the best songs he's ever written. I mean, I know he's brought it up, and I know other people have, but even just shit like the past is only a future with the lights on, like just lines like that, even like those are really good. Like those are just really good fucking lines, but also like the dynamics on this album that Blink never had. Like Blink's a loud, snotty pop punk band, whereas like on this record, there's so much of that quiet, loud dynamics of like building things up, and like, you know, there's verses where this time it's only bass and it's not, where just in ways that they never did with Blink. You know what I mean? Blink's a lot more straightforward, where with Plus 44, like same with this song, there's just such a, even that like the snare, like just that drumming that like Travis is doing in the beginning, like it's different for him. Like even some of the shit that Travis is doing, some of it's programmed, I think. Like there's definitely drums on here throughout the record too that I think are either he's playing an electronic drum set or they're programmed. But I mean, still, the shit he's playing on here I think is pretty different for him. And it is one of those songs where when you do the Blink comparison, which is just hard not to do, including when it came out, this is a song that stands on its own where you go, I don't think Blink could have wrote this song.
Oh yeah, and honestly, like not just that, but one of the notes I just have on the whole record, that it's like a good and bad thing depending on who you ask. I can't hear or imagine Tom singing on any of these songs.
I have one, and any of the other ones, you're totally right.
Yeah, and for me, like I genuinely like that because this is Mark's record. Like obviously Boxcar had that one song with Mark, but you know, people kind of jokingly just call that a Blink song because of the three. But like for me, like this record is very much like all Mark, and I don't hate that there's no like, oh man, this would be better with Tom. I thoroughly enjoy that thought that this is solely him.
You know what? You bring up a good point there too. Tom would not improve this record. Not a slight at Tom, but like this record would not be improved by him in any, like the last two Blink records, which I'm pretty, you know, my opinions on them are pretty out there, but like they could be improved with Tom. I mean, not if they were playing those same songs, but obviously if Tom was there, it would be different and it would be better. Plus 44, it wouldn't be better. Like there's no adding Tom in there where I think that scenario would make it better. This is absolutely, you're right, it's all Tom. And not just, like you were saying, like you can't imagine Tom singing them, but there's also songs on this record where I just go, guitar-wise, I don't think Tom would have played that. You know what I mean? Even though there's two guitars in this band, and not that every song is really technical. There's definitely songs on here you could get away with just one guitar player, but there are songs where the style that's being played and shit, Tom could not, like they just couldn't be. For that reason, they couldn't be Blink songs, and also that headset headspace where maybe you just don't write a song like that because that's not what people would want or expect from Blink. You know, like that's the other thing is like even if Mark wanted to, because you also got to wonder, like even though a lot of these songs don't sound like they could be Blink songs, I wonder if any of these were ideas that were being kicked around towards the end of Blink writing them.
Totally possible.
Like right, they have to be because there's only a year, like Blink broke up 2005. This album comes out 2006. Like in that, I mean, I know Self-Titled came, but even that Self-Titled came out 03. There's no way he wasn't writing in between those years. Like you gotta wonder if some of these morphed, even though maybe they didn't start like this. Some of the, and I'm not saying Baby Come On, this doesn't seem like it, but just in general, there has to be some songs on here that he had like fucking kicking around a few years beforehand that would have been Blink songs or a side project even.
Oh, absolutely. Because like even like a song like this, like I can almost hear this as maybe a Blink release, but it would be one of those songs that it would only be Mark singing.
Yeah, no Tom on this at all.
Yeah, no Tom on this at all. Like no extra little harmonies, maybe one here and there at best. But like this song is so like fucking like it's super chill, and then like the chorus kicks in and it just fucking punches you in the balls.
It is so good.
It's so good. And like it's funny, like I think I've told you this on the last phone call when we were trying to do this. I keep like time markers on all the songs on how long each song is. It almost hurts me to think that besides one other song, this is the shortest song. Actually, okay, lyrically it's the shortest song on the album. And I wish there was just a little bit more because I love it so much. I don't want it to stop.
Damn, that's it. See, I like that you do that. I can't believe it's the shortest because it doesn't feel, I don't know. I guess it doesn't feel long by any means, but I guess I wouldn't have thought it was the shortest song until you told me that.
It's under 3 minutes.
God damn. But no, you know what though? When we talked about this, no song on this record really overstays its welcome. Like the songs are like the perfect amount of time. Like even some of the even a couple of them, which go a little longer, and I won't say the names because I'll bring it up later, but like they don't feel like they're as long as they are.
Yeah.
But this song, I mean, I also don't think this song sounds like Motion City Soundtrack, but this was around the time that Mark was producing them. And I do feel like if you listen to Commit This to Memory, some of the shit on there, I could see where working with a band like Motion City Soundtrack, who does have synths and shit and kind of experiment a little more, might have also came into play with like how he like did things and fucked around more in studio. You know, like again, like this song doesn't sound like Motion City Soundtrack, but it also doesn't sound so unlike a song written by a guy who produced a Motion City Soundtrack record, if that makes sense.
It does. I probably wouldn't go there exactly, but I can see the thought.
Like the beginning of him being more experimental, because also that's the beginning of him producing too, where it's him helping write and record songs out of the wheelhouse of just, you know, Blink. Because also when you think about it, the bands he did produce, I mean, some of them were Blink influenced, but like he didn't really produce a lot of Blink sounding bands. He produced like Socratic and Motion City Soundtrack and like shit. You know, later on he'd do like Newfound Glory and stuff. But the first few bands he produced really weren't like straight up like just pop punk bands.
Yeah, he was kind of dabbling in some of like those, like some of the, even like the indie like rock sound bands.
Which if you hear like Baby Come On, like a song like this, I also think kind of going back to that idea where in 2021, probably the people listening to this record still are Blink fans. The unfortunate thing about that is I think people who are into like the whole, I mean, the bands who influence this shit, like the Postal Service and like just a lot of those like indie rock bands like the early 2000s, like if you didn't know it was two dudes from Blink-182, I think a lot more people would like, this would be not even like a huge thing, but like I think within indie rock and stuff be one of those albums where like fucking like you'd kind of mention it as like that like obscure band who put one album out and it's really fucking good. Like
it would be at the top of like all college radio charts.
Yeah. Like Pitchfork would like this record if it wasn't if it wasn't Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker on it. Like I think this record would have had more of a fair shot, and including years later, because like again, it stands on its own where like you don't have to be a Blink fan to like this record, but I think the fact that it's 2/3 of Blink is always it's never not going to get in the way.
Of course, and it kind of sucks that it's that way, but it's kind of just how it is.
Yeah, but I mean, like this song, "Baby Come On," is just such a good example of that, where it's like, I mean, fuck, this song just it stands on its own. I also remember the first song I heard from them, which will be the next one here in a minute, but "When Your Heart Stops Beating" was the first one I heard. And, you know, I mean, I'll give you my views on it here in a second, but like "Baby Come On" was the second song, and that one hit me way more. Like I was stoked for "When Your Heart Stops Beating." It's 2/3 of Blink. I love the band, but like "Baby Come On," I think I was more like, it's a song I appreciate more and more again as I get older. And like years later, I was more like, oh fuck, it is really good. But that one connected pretty fast. Like that one, I think even off first listen, I think I was like, this is the song. Like of the two, I'm like, okay, this excites me more for the rest of the record.
Yeah, definitely. Like Lycanthrope was a good intro, like to the album. Like obviously, like we kind of already went through it, but this is so different, and it's not like an ode to Blink or doesn't even like hints at Blink really in any means.
No.
And I think that's what I appreciate about it so much is just lyrically, musically, just the tone. It's all so different. And yeah, like you said, like this one hit me way more than the next song. And still to this day, I listen to it and I'm just like in awe of this song.
Cause also like it like lyrically, it does pop out too in a way that like, and we've mentioned before, like I love Blink, but it's like, the lyrics have never been like, you know, I don't feel like you always listen to Blink for like the deepest lyrics or the strongest lyrics, but this song has really strong fucking lyrics, like through and through. It's a strong like lyrical song. You know, it's not just like a really kind of catchy, like, cause Blink's good at that where it's like a catchy like 3-chord pop song and the lyrics are fun to sing to and there's the fun melody and shit. But this one's more like in a singer-songwriter sense where it's like, it's not about the like. Actually, that's most of this album. This album's not really about like vocal melodies and shit like that. It's not. There's a couple. There's some good choruses, and they're kind of you can sing along, but not in that way of like this record came out at the perfect time. This album being a November record is fucking perfect. Like this is a winter record through and through. This is not. This is not roll your fucking windows down in July, like driving down the coast kind of record. I mean, it's not. It's not Enema of the State. It's not Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Like this is not your summer record. This is a fucking like winter cold. It gets dark early. Like it's funny because I mean I know they recorded shit out in California and everything, but like it does kind of conjure up like I don't know, kind of that like. I mean, I think of the Midwest as that where it just gets fucking real cold and icy and snowy. I know it gets dark early everywhere, but just that whole fucking like December, January and like fucking central, in the middle of America, basically. Yeah. It kind of has that vibe. But this song definitely is one of those where it's like, this is a nice like night song. This is a good like. Night drive and shit, like getting into like that stuff, like best songs for like driving at night. This is one to throw on a playlist.
And probably one of my favorite things about this song, and it's so weird because it's only connected via basically just like fan interpretation and just like outreach. But on like YouTube, I remember seeing this ages ago. Someone made a quote unquote music video of this, and they just took scenes from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, really?
Oh, dude. Check it out.
Perfectly?
It works so fucking perfect. Like, if you never saw that movie and you watched this video, you'd be like, whoa, this is a dope music video.
Oh, nice. Like, I've never seen this. I'll have to check this out. Dude.
Like, and I'm pretty sure, I almost guarantee that it's got, like, a few million views on YouTube.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
it's been up since like the song's been like. Has it been up like a really long time?
I believe so. Like I remember thinking of it at first as like the music video, and like I was like, oh, cool. They like put the two together to make a cool music video to like promote the movie, so to speak. Yeah. And it wasn't that at all. It was just some random that uploaded like a video and kind of just like edited it together to like make it look good. And yeah, it's fucking solid, man.
That's pretty rad. I'll have to go check that out. Actually, not totally into this next one, but music video kind of made me think of the next song. I mean, do you have anything else for Baby Come On before we move on?
No, it's a dope ass song.
It is a dope ass fucking song. But you bring up music videos. Obviously, there's one for When Your Heart Stops Beating. But like thinking about the push on this album and like how much support the record label gave it, When Your Heart Stops Beating has like a lukewarm video, and then there's like a live video for like 155, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's not much of a push, dude.
Yeah, and I just found it. Yeah, it was uploaded 15 years ago.
Holy shit!
And it's got 3 million views.
Oh my god, that had to be like that's the first couple years of YouTube. That's a fucking OG right there.
Yeah, because YouTube started, I think, in like 05, 06.
Yeah, that's fucking wild to think about that.
Yeah, but yes, next song.
But yeah, like When Your Heart Stops Beating. This was only until I started doing research for this episode. I thought this was the first official song released, I believe, right? Didn't know it.
Yes.
Okay, that's right. Because No It Isn't was leaked or something before this.
No, I don't think so.
I thought something I think got leaked before this, but this was the first. This was my first introduction. This is the first song I heard, and I think the first song they released altogether, officially released.
Technically. Kind of. We'll get into that later.
That's what I mean. Okay. Then I'm not trying to open a can of worms, but I was trying to figure that out because up until now, I was under the assumption this was the first song because this was the first song I remember hearing. I remember him teasing the fuck out of the band before that. I mean, and we'll get into it like with Carol and everything, and them just kind of teasing online and it being more electronic and all these different. It was more talk than anything. Like you heard a couple things, them talk about a couple things, not actually hear the songs. But this was the build up. This is this kind of is akin to Up All Night, where you're waiting for a year or so. Like, you're waiting for that fucking song. Like, you know, you got to hear something. Like, you know they've been working on it. What are you going to get? And this is your first one, and I mean, it's not a bad song, but I would say it's one of the weaker moments of the album, and really, I say one of the weaker moments, but really, it's probably my least favorite song. I mean, I would take Interlude out, but like, I think as far as songs go, probably my least favorite. I by no means hate the fuck out of this song, but like, I will say, hearing it the first time, I think a lot of my merits on why I liked it was more of it's Travis and Mark. Like, I think it took I think listen maybe 3 or 4 before I was like, don't get me wrong, after listen 1 I put that fucker on my MySpace profile. That shit became my 100%. Like, I was all about it in that sense. But like, I think my true like when I was truly into the song as much as I was pretending to be, I think was after a few listens. But like, again, it's not a terrible song, but like, when you're thinking of an introduction, and again, like we were just talking, you know, we've mentioned this enough, like the hype and the buildup of being your first post-Blink band and your first, you know, people's reception of you and what they're going to think, I don't think this was the right one to start with.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of brought it up during the first song, is that like this very like Lycanthrope could have been the first single, but maybe with the label. That. But maybe with the label and kind of being like, well, we need to do this. Maybe it was more the label's decision to push this first.
I could see them doing some stupid shit too, being like, because Lycanthrope, what's the second verse? Like, sex fucking fluorescent lighting, some cheesy line like that. But then being like, no, there's like we need a radio clean, like just some dumb shit like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Where like top 40 won't, like rock radio might play this, but like top 40 will want you to like censor this, or you know what I mean? Like, it could really be some politics, which you don't see so much now, but some of those bullshit major label politics you hear so much about from like, you know, like the 90s and 80s into like, you know, into like when major labels still kind of had money. This is like the final years of that, really. Mm-hmm, I think. But because
honestly, for me personally, like same as you, like it was like I liked the song at first because it was like, you know, there was the relation to Blink and it kind of had that type of speed to it. But honestly, like for me, like not the strongest song, not the strongest single, but Travis's drums on this are really fucking good.
They are. You know what?
His hi-hat work. Yeah, throughout the whole record is super good.
Dude, I was just about I was just about to say, I'm so happy. I thought you were going to say the hi-hat for the songs. I was about to say, oh, dude, this whole record, there's parts on this where I go, he's fucking doing some crazy things on that, like specifically that hi-hat.
Yeah, like part of me now that I've gotten older with this record, it's the one thing I kind of like about this song, and that's really about it. Like everything else is okay. It's like the song's okay, like it's fine. I wouldn't have pushed it as a single. Like I don't, like you said, I don't hate this song. It's just, it's all not nowhere near as close, but it's kind of jokingly has like the, all the small things, I miss you heat, where it's just like, I can totally skip this song and not worry about it.
See, that's a good, you know what, that's a good way of putting it, where it's like, yeah, I'm probably, if I'm listening to this album front to back, sure, I'll listen to it, but like, if I'm going to put on like a random plus 44 song, it's not going to be this one. This isn't the one I pick. It's like, I also say, like, I know it wasn't, or more than likely it wasn't, but this song feels like it was the first song written for the band. Like, in my idea, this song almost feels like it was written to be a single. Like, it kind of has that vibe, like, where it's like, this is what we're going to sound like, and it's also like this is who we are now, but forced, like, in a way. Like, I feel like they're getting that, like, the song obviously is influenced by, like, some new, you know, it kind of has that new wave vibe and kind of that, like, you know, like kind of like 80s kind of like thing to it, but they do it so much better on other songs on this record. They get that right later on. There's songs where they do it later where I go, oh fuck, they probably wrote 4 or 5 more songs and got into the groove of things. This one feels like it's their first attempt at it.
Yeah, because like, and it's funny that you say that, because for me, this almost feels like one of the last songs written, kind of like what they did with Toy Patch, and be like, hey, you guys need a single.
This is like the Rock Show, you're saying.
Yeah, it's like Rock Show and First Date.
It's funny.
Like, that's how I felt about it. and they just had to push out like a quick single to get some radio play. And they're like, okay, this is the song. Could be totally wrong. That's how I feel.
It's odd, dude, because I feel a little bit of both, because I do have that vibe where I'm like, I feel like this is them being like, this is our first, like, this is us. We're not Blink now, but we're kind of, you know what I mean? Like, because there are parts about this that do have, maybe not sonically, but like even just the way it's written, where I kind of go, this is a little more in the vein of Blink. But it's weird, dude, because I feel that about certain elements, but then at the same time, again, I go, I feel like it was the first song not written for the band particularly, but once they did that jump from, because originally they were going to be more electronic.
Yeah.
They were going to be like, when they were jumping over to, we're going to be a full band, that's what I feel like this was the first song, when they're like, we're going to do it more heavy, and we are going to bring in like elements of Blink. I feel like this is their first attempt at that. And again, later on, the 80s and new wave thing and everything, they fucking hit really well. They do very well on this record later on. This song, I'm just like, I see what you're trying to do, and you kind of do it, but not to the way that you should. And really, it is funny, because like looking back now, and you don't realize it, but I mean, we talked about this like with Insomniac, and I'm sure a bunch of other records that we've talked about, but like, there is something to say about your first single off a record, like your first impression of it being a strong one, and releasing the wrong single and shit, and giving the like, you know, your interpretation and shit. It can really kind of, because actually really, I wanted to bring this up too, going back as I brought up a couple times with Ava, but it's like this song, just the first singles, like I think of the first singles that like you hear from the band. So I always kind of think of When Your Heart Stops Beating, and then I think of The Adventure. And as far as first impressions of a band go, I think The Adventure is such a stronger like single and lead off of something, like even though it's so, and that one's very different from Blink too, but like I feel like that song seems much more fully realized and more like of a, this is what I'm doing now, you know what I mean? Like if you were gonna go, this is my song to show people what my first album post Blink is gonna sound like, and I don't sound like Blink anymore, and I'm influenced by U2 and the Police, and like I add synth and this and that. I think that song's a good interpretation of it. Like, that song's a good summary of what the rest of that record will be like in a positive way, which also, that record went gold. Where When Your Heart Stops Beating, I think it's a again, the idea's there, but it's not fully realized. Whereas if they tried a different, like Lycanthrope, I think we can agree that's probably the best song that they should have started with. I think leading off of that, people could have heard it and went, okay, it's more realized and it's more mature than Blink, but it also had, you know what I mean? There's a little Blink element, but it's like, we hear what you're doing and it sounds, I don't know, I think that's just a lot stronger. This is just a lukewarm, this song is just not the strongest, on an album with really strong fucking songs. Yeah, it's just, it kind of missed its mark, but I think it tried to do what they wanted it to do, but it fell short. Yeah, and just like Fate, I think this one also fell short.
This time.
Yeah, this time. Anything to add on this one, or should we stop shitting on When Your Heart Stops Beating?
I've wiped my butt. I'm ready to go on.
Now, this song is another one of my favorites on the album, and I think really when you talk about that, like, just winter album, I think this is one of the most wintry. I think this and in a couple more songs we get to like one of the saddest fucking songs I think Mark's ever written. But this is also up there. I think Little Death. I fucking love this song. This is one too that over the years, like, I don't remember really. I remember listening to the album when it came out, and I don't ever remember even thinking twice about this song. It was whatever. And then, I don't know, maybe the last, not even on this last listen, like, I don't know, maybe the last, like, 8-9 decade of listening to this record, this has become one of my favorite songs on the album. What is your general consensus on this song? Is this up there, or is this one you can live without?
No, this is definitely up there for me. Like, this is for me, at least, like, out of Mark songs, like, this was, like, my introduction to, like, really dark Mark.
Yes.
Just because his he has such a low register throughout the verses in this song.
Oh, I love
And
his
like,
voice on it. It works so fucking well.
and it's so good, and I can't think differently about this song in any other way. I can't be like, oh well, what if they did this, or maybe they should have done whatever. This, like, for me, like, as a Mark Hoppus song, like, just plus 44, whatever, just a Mark Hoppus song in general, this is one of my absolute favorites.
You know, it's interesting too, because when you think of 2006, and I also because the album came out November 14th of 2006, I also think a lot more about like the year like 2007, just because it's kind of towards that. But like, you think of what was coming out around that time and shit. Obviously, emo was a big thing, and also a lot of bands who were influenced by Blink. But like, there's so many bands who would write quote unquote emo lyrics that just were cheesy as fuck and just like, sad to be sad. You know what I mean? Like, you're purposely going out of your way, where this song is very melancholic, like I don't even know if melancholic's a word. It's very melancholy, and it's in many ways, I mean, if you want to throw the term emo around, sure, it's an emo song, but it's done so fucking well. Like, even Mark has written, again, like, for lack of a better term, emo lyrics that are just like, I mean, even the lyrics to I Miss You are kind of cheesy. Like, we can live like Jack and Sally and shit like that. Like, all the Nightmare Before Christmas, like, imagery. Like, I get it, and I know it means something to them. Like, I'm not shitting on it that way, but I'm like, this is more sincere in my way, where this is just straight up, like, this is a sad, dark song, but it's not just writing cheesy fucking emo lyrics. Like, he hits the fucking mark on this one lyrically.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing's just really fucking good. And it reminds me a lot, like, because there are those songs on this record. There's the ones that are a little more like louder rock. And I mean, this one does in the chorus, but this one reminds me a lot of Baby Come On, where like, it's another one where very different, plays with dynamics, is not a song that I think Blink could have pulled off. This is one I will say I don't think Tom could have, like, not just voice, but guitar-wise. I don't see Tom playing guitar on this song. Not even that.
No.
It's nothing. It has nothing to do with it being like too technically proficient or anything like that. It's just not how he plays. He couldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't play this song like that. And you need the nuances, and you need those little subtle things of this song that Tom wouldn't do. Tom just couldn't do that. It wouldn't work.
No. Again, I can't hear Tom anywhere on this record, and for me, I like that. I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, it sucks because he's not there." Fuck you, I don't care.
No, I'm and that's a good point that I'm not going to pretend that I've thought of it before you bringing it up, but you bring up a great fucking point that it doesn't sound like a record that Tom would improve. It doesn't sound like songs that Tom would be on, but that's a good thing. Like,
exactly.
It's a very good thing, Because really, that's the other thing is, sure, this album, like, I also give credit where credit's due. This record is really fucking good, and it's gotten better with time. Now, as far as it's selling well or being, the right career move for Travis or Mark, maybe not so much. But sure, at the time, had they just rehashed a Blink record under plus 44, really, that might have been the thing to do. Maybe radio would have played you more had you just tried to, like, we're gonna write not even go through the self-titled thing. Even if they're like, we're gonna write songs like All the Small Things, like, we're gonna write like Enema of the State songs again. Like, they probably could have gone on the radio and shit like that. Like, I feel like they could have gotten more of because I think as time went on, they did. I know they did like the rock show and What's My Age Again and shit live, but I do think with time they were a little more like relaxed about the Blink legacy part and kind of acknowledging that. Where I think in the beginning, they were trying to distance themselves. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like I remember there was an interview where they asked, Mark and Travis about, oh, we heard, Tom's playing, I Miss You and Down live. Will you ever bring Blink songs into your plus 44 set? And there was a while where they were saying they wouldn't do that. And then they did it, and a bunch of people called them hypocrites, which I get the idea of why you would do that. But then in later interviews, they accepted and acknowledged the Blink legacy, and they still wanted to, let people know that that's still a thing. But like in the moment, like when this record came out, they were just like, we just want plus 44. We don't want Blink's
fingerprints on this just yet. We want it to stand on its own first.
Yeah, and I think they ended up handling it, I think, well. And I also think, like, including cover-wise, because we've all seen the videos of those Angels and Airwaves, those early Blink covers of, like, I Miss You and stuff. And there's some... yeah, there are no words for that. Thank God they stopped doing that. But, like, at least with Mark and Travis, they do those. They sounded good. Like, they could cover those songs, and they did it well. Like, they kind of carried the Blink legacy in a respectful manner, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, like, sure, I get why you wouldn't want, but it's just like, look at, if you're, like, that's always going to follow you, like, no matter what, if you're in a band and then you go on to another band. But there is a difference when you're that, and you're that, like, size of a band. Like, again, like, this is not, like, just some, you know, there's so many random pop punk bands where it's like, oh, yeah, this singer left and, like, they weren't good anymore. But it's like, me, I could say that and 300 other people would know who that was, and no one else would give a fuck or know who the band was. Blink-182, people know that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that, like, people, everyone knows that. People, including at the time, like, they were fucking huge. Like, they were a big thing in pop culture and shit. So it's like, when you break up and go on to the next thing, it's even more, like, you're even more watched than, you know, the normal person. But I think you have to find that balance. I mean, you watched it with Fall Out Boy a couple years, you know, like 5 years after Blink, where they broke up and they all kind of wanted to do different things. Like, no, we're not, like, we're doing something different. You know, whether that's right or wrong, and I don't think it is. It sucks from the fan base, but it's like a lot of them were real fucking mean about it, where it's like, if you know, you can't pretend like that didn't exist. You can't pretend, you can't abandon the last, like, 15 years of your career or the reason why people give a fuck about you. Like, I get trying to, but at the same time, you have to do it in a certain way, because I do think if fans think you're abandoning it or you're, like, shitting on that legacy or somehow, like, you know, just doing them wrong in a way, I think it can come back to bite you in the ass. I know I felt that way. It's funny. Plus 44, I never felt that way. But with Angels and Airwaves, it took me a while to really get into them, because in this weird fucking way, I did feel slighted that Tom was so different. like now I look back and laugh, but it's like, even I was one of those people where I'm like, oh my God, like, he does, like, he's not wearing Atticus anymore. His hat's not backwards. Like, he's not, you know what I mean? Like, which now it's like, he fucking grew up. He turned 30. Like, he fucking, that's it. He changed. He wanted to do something different. Like, I totally get it. But, like, as a 14-year-old, I was even for a minute kind of like, what the fuck is this shit with, like, some of the Angels and Airwaves stuff? I'm like, fuck this. Like, and then watching, including, like, and I obviously turned around and I wasn't that way anymore. I went and saw him live and shit. And I saw him around Empire. So, I mean, he had gotten that out of his system. But, like, when you see him abandoning Blink that way, and then you go see, like, those covers that they were doing live and you're just watching those YouTube videos, I was like, yeah, just in this way where, like, I was not in the Tom camp for a minute. Where with Plus 44, I don't think I ever had that. Like, I think Plus 44 just handled it in a which, again, like, I think you kind of watched the trial and error happen, where in the beginning they were maybe too far away from it. But I think long term, like, I appreciate it again, because had they just shit out, like, if they worried about that too much and just shit out, like, a rehash of something that sounded like 2/3 of Blink wrote it, 15 years later, it probably wouldn't be very good. Whereas, sure, it didn't sell well, but 15 years later, I'm like, my God, this album's better than it was when it came out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this song, I mean, just the whole thing's fucking great. Even just little, like, a little death makes life more meaningful. Like, his hooks on this record, like, that's fucking great. That's a great fucking line.
Well, and what's so great is, like, I remember trying to, like, I don't remember if I heard it in an interview or what, but I remember, like, being like, hearing about what little death meant, and I thought it was so funny when I, like, heard it or figured out whatever it was, that it's like French, it's like a French translated term for basically an orgasm, which I thought was awesome.
Wait, it is?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It's like I didn't know that. There's a French term, it translates to little death, and it's basically about, like,
that song's a cum joke?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
My world's turned upside down.
Oh man.
God damn, I didn't know that. I mean, I believe that. That sounds like something. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's out of the wheelhouse of Mark Hoppus.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's still like it's
Can't lose
shit
his
like
sense
that.
of humor.
Yeah, there's shit like that where like you're like Little Death. Like, okay, that's a weird name for a song, whatever. And then when I heard or looked it up or whatever it was, however I found it out, I was just like, yes, Mark, he still got it.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
You got anything else for a Little
Nope.
Death? Shall we move on?
I came and went.
just like the song. All right, 155. Now this is what I'm talking about. We're talking about, like, obviously, you know, the band wanted some of that, like also like newer indie bands of at least of the time. Now they're 15 years old, but it's like, you know, a lot of like indie synth bands going on at the time of this release were influenced by it. But obviously there's also that 80s and like new wave influence. This song to me is that kind of like it's what your heart stops beating, what they wanted that to be. This to me is that song. Like this might also be, I don't know that this would have been the strongest opener, like first like lead off single. I don't know that I would say that. I still think Lycanthrope would be better. But I do think if you were going to go for, hey, we're doing this kind of dark, but it's dark but you can dance to it kind of thing, like that kind of thing that a lot of these Plus 44 songs have. This is one of the ones where they fucking hit it. Like this song is so fucking good. Like, I love this song.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm kind of on the, like I do love the tones. Like the tones are great. Like I love like the synthy kind of 80s like new wavy stuff.
The synth is done the best on all of them. I think whoever played synth on this did it very well.
It is literally my main note on this song because this is one of my least favorite songs.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, I love the chorus. I will not deny
that's one of the best parts great. Though. We can agree on that. That is like the best part of the song. Besides that synth.
And the tones are good, but I think it's just the verses kind of take me out of it. And also the music video didn't do anything for me.
That's the live one, right?
It's a live behind the scenes music video. And I guess it just maybe took me out of the song a little bit. And even now when I'm older, when I hear this song, I'm like, I won't skip it, but it's like, I have to muscle through it a little bit.
It's fun. So it sounds like the verses are your main problem.
Yeah, and they're not terrible. This song has never clicked with me like deeply, but the music is good, and I love that chorus.
Yeah, and see, I can't disagree much with you because the not that I hate the verse or anything like that, but I mean, if we're talking about the reasons why I love this song, yeah, the verse is like, that's at the way bottom of the list. Like it's that chorus, it's that big fucking chorus, and also that synth line is just so. But again, what I like about it is that synth line is really kind of like it's like kind of I don't know if evil's even the right word, but there's something about it. It's like almost there's just something about it. Like it's uneasy. It's not a super happy sounding like line or anything like that, but it's like this real dark song that has like a fucking danceability to it. Like it's just really well done. Like it's this like yin and yang of the song where there's like kind of two vibes going on at the same time. And also, I mean, we brought up like the hi-hat, I gotta say, is another part. The hi-hat in this song, fucking great. Just really like that rhythmic thing that Travis is doing on it. Is just fucking top notch. Like that one, that one I actually writ down. Like I agree with you. The whole album hi-hat is fucking exceptional. But this one I wrote that down specifically. I'm like, I love his fucking hi-hat work on this.
Yeah, it like again, not a bad song. Like we say this a lot. Like when it comes to like any other album we've talked about, we're like, I don't hate this song.
Yeah, it's just not
blah,
the
blah,
best
blah.
one.
Yeah, like if I was like you said, if I was gonna put on a bunch of songs and I wanted to put a Plus 44 one on, this would not be it.
No,
but I would be able to at least like appreciate certain things about it, like the synth, like the drum work, and just like certain tones that are just kind of sprinkled in throughout the song. I'll appreciate the hell out of it, but like I gotta get through those verses for some reason. And maybe the music video just ruined it for me. But like all in all, I don't hate the song. It's just on this record, it's one of my least favorites.
It's also it is weird. Like you do have to you do get the feeling that like Interscope just kind of like just gave up on this after When Your Heart Stops Beating, because like even the fact that the second song was just that, like compiled of like live videos, was because really when you think about it, this is like the final era of like music videos where they did still kind of, where you would put some money into them. Like if you're on a major label, like they'd put some money into a good music video, and like sure MTV wasn't playing them all the time, but they still would get played. Like that was still a time. Like 5 years later, I get it. Like, I mean, I feel like including in the 2010s, most music videos, like I won't say most, but like 3 out of 5 are fucking are basically live montages. Like, it's cheap and it's a promotional thing, and I get it because there was a time where like, and it still is, but like now YouTube's kind of looked at as the alternative TV, but then it was kind of looked at where MTV and shit's not doing anything, and all we're doing is putting this video on YouTube. Not really in the monetizing idea. It's just we're putting it up as a promotional thing. So it would just be, we have zero budget, we're just doing a live video. Whereas with this, it just seems careless. There should have been a fucking music video for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like the way I've been seeing live music videos for the last number of years is like, in my head, it's like if I see like a live behind the scenes, you know, kind of home video type music video, all I think about is like, oh, this band probably wants to do a tour and they need to like show people like how much fun they're having and like the cool shit they do on tour, so people go to see them. Like,
I never thought of that, but that's a great fucking point.
It's been my thought process for a number of years. Anytime I see a band do a live music video, I'm like, oh, they're gonna go on tour soon, or like this is like the end of the album cycle, like they're going to go on tour and then they're going to record the next album or whatever.
You have a great point, because that goes just along with that, as well as the idea of this isn't getting on TV or anything. We're just doing it kind of as a promotional vehicle and just something to get out there. That is because just like they'll tell you, albums and shit aren't selling either. We're getting the live shows. Like we want people out live. So it's like that totally makes sense too. What you're saying, it's like we're going to do a live video to try to get you out here. It's going to cost us. I mean, we'll get a fucking guy out there with a camera, like, for a week, like if that, maybe a day or two, like, or if not, we just compile a bunch of shit. It might not even be one person. Like we just compile a bunch of live shit, and it costs us next to nothing, and it gets us out there, and then hopefully, we'll sell some tickets, which sucks. Like I get it, but at the same time, it makes you miss. It also makes you appreciate when bands do actual music videos now, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, when it's an actual music video and it's actually like put together and well thought out and shit, it's like you do kind of, you appreciate it more now, you know?
Yeah.
But like on this, I just feel like it was fucking careless. Like if you're Interscope in, you know, by the time you're pushing this song, make a fucking music video. And even When Your Heart Stops Beating, like I went back and watched it for this. It is pretty cheesy. I mean, it's of the time. Like I'm sure it's not a cheap video. I'm sure it costs some money to make, but just kind of a cheesy, generic video where, like, again, like maybe had they put some more money into it, like it's wild because again, like I feel like. But maybe, you know, the other thing though too is it makes you wonder, did the label back it from the get-go? Because sure, they signed them, and actually, I think though too contractually they might have still been obligated, because they're on Interscope, but I think that it was still somehow connected to. I think Blink was signed to Geffen, but I thought it was connected in some way where like really, because also I think Angels and Airwaves was on, or no, Angels and Airwaves might have been on Geffen, so maybe I'm fucking that up. I think Angels and Airwaves was on Geffen, so maybe they did jump to Interscope. I don't know, but anyway. I wonder how much belief the label had in this album for really being a mainstream success, because sure, they signed them because it's Mark and Travis, you know, like you have that where it's like, okay, there's some sellability because it's fucking Mark and Travis of Blink, but it's like, I wonder if they were just like, we don't hear a single, or this is either too different or too experimental or what. Like, I wonder if there was some of that before it even came out.
That's possible.
Because really, like I look back now and I never thought, you really don't think about it at the time. I don't think it's something. I mean, maybe I guess I shouldn't say that. I kind of noticed on Neighborhoods, and I remember them kind of talking about it. Like at that point, you know, label not really pushing things like maybe they should have. But like, On this one, like I would just think that you would want to get it out there more, like you would push that money, but it makes me think they went, you guys aren't like, we don't see it here. Like it's not going to be the big seller that we want it to be, which is unfortunate, but I guess that's the fate of the album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of the same with Boxcar Racer, though. You think about that, like that was on a major label, but I mean, I don't know that it was pushed all that hard.
No, like that's why I feel like it's such a good comparison to like label Boxcar
that more than Ava.
44. Yeah, compared to Ava, just because like Tom was so out there for Angels and Airwaves and like all the stuff leading up to it that people listened to it out of either love for Blink, love for Tom, or sheer curiosity on how weird he fucking was. I mean,
this is going to be the greatest fucking music of the last 30 years. He was going to revolutionize the world.
You hear stuff like that, and even if like you don't like the guy, you almost want to hear it either for how out there and how stupid is this song or this album going to sound, or it's going to be the exact opposite. We're like, wow, this guy's really saying some stuff, and it sounds different. It does sound unique for the time, the person, and just everything about it.
And but honestly, to be honest, his fucking craziness and shit. I mean, I don't think that's particularly what fueled people to listen to it, but
it influenced the thought.
Well, I'm not even. Yeah, I guess the way I just said that sounds like a shit on your point. I'm not. I'm actually agreeing with you. What I mean by it is I'm sure once they get there, the music is good, but what you're saying makes total sense because when you think about it, sure, he's fucking rambling and stuff, but that album went gold, and When Your Heart Stops Beating didn't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like Mark and Travis didn't talk to the press for a year prior, and again, I get why, but they didn't.
Mark and Tom was all up in the press.
And Tom was all up in that fucking press. And like he was doing the opposite. He was building shit up and stuff in a way that Mark and Travis weren't, which Mark and Travis look more normal. Tom looks fucking crazy in those interviews, but Angels and Airwaves did get a gold record out of that and became a band that, obviously to this day, Tom can sustain and still, even though he's not playing arenas, they're still playing theaters and shit. Like, he sustained it more than Plus 44 was able to be sustained.
Yeah, and like, who knows, like really, who knows how much was put into everything with Plus 44. Obviously, like, they didn't talk about it much, like, in the beginning, and when they did, then they stopped until basically the record came out, and then there was no big promotional, shit for it. Yeah, there was, like, a couple music videos, but it wasn't like it was massively pushed. Maybe that was potentially by design because they didn't need all of the big publicity, and they just wanted to put out a record that sounded different but still had like their creative elements to it. And then maybe the second record would have been pushed more because now it's at least an established band. Yeah. And now that people get an idea of what it sounds like, now we can really do the Plus 44 thing. Whether it would have taken off or not, who fucking knows? But the way the albums were approached, maybe that was their thing. Maybe they just wanted a low-key record. And if it did well, cool. If it didn't, at least they fucking tried. I don't know their thought process, so I don't know where they're at on it. But like, part of me kind of feels like that they just kind of wanted to do something because that was what they wanted. They wanted to continue to write music together. And because it wasn't pushed so hard, maybe that wasn't their main focus.
See, I don't know. And you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know. But I do think they didn't want it just on the laurels of Blink. Like, I think they wanted to do their own thing. They wanted to continue and go on. But at the same time, I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't have wanted this pushed a little more and tried to be. Because also, there is a part of it where the more you push it, the more it might help you to get out of we're the guys from Blink. Whereas,
oh, of course.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, if you push it more and you try to continue that, people start looking, which you'll always still have it. Tom still has it. You'll always kind of be the guy from Blink for a big chunk of your fan base, but still, you get away from a little more where if people initially listen to you that one time for like When Your Heart Stops Beating, they go like, oh, it's that song from those two guys from Blink. But then there's nothing else to like follow it up. Like, because the Angels and Airwaves, I don't think they ever commercially really, like, The Adventure probably is the single biggest song they have. I mean, they've had other songs that are big, and I've heard other songs on the radio. Like, they still get like radio play and shit like that. But like, they could continue on and shit Whereas, yeah, with Plus 44, they kind of had that one song, and there really wasn't a push for other things, you know, where, and it is, we already said it, like with Angels and Airwaves, yeah, they were a lot more in your face with being out there and stuff. Whereas, I mean, even like with music videos, I mean, they had a whole fucking documentary and DVD, like, all ready to go, and they had these huge music videos and shit, where with Plus 44, they had one music video, which is really lackluster, and then they have a fucking live music video, which I hate to even really call, you know, it's a music video, but it's not, it's not you know what I mean?
Like anyone could have made that video.
Yes, it's, I mean, by the sounds of it, I've never even seen it, but the Baby Come On video you're talking about that a fan just put together with like fucking montage of a movie sounds better, you know, sounds like it's probably more creative and more fitting to the song than just some fucking, you know, live video.
Yeah.
But moving on, unless you have anything else for that one, which I was going to say, I don't think you do. Moving on to Lillian, I would say, I mean, Little Death is a sad song, but Lillian says, get the fuck out of the way, and is really, really fucking takes its place for, I'm going to say saddest song on the album.
Oh, yeah, I can put it up. I'll put it up there.
It's another one too that I could never see Blink doing. This is not a song, and again, going back to that, like, because something that's very interesting I thought a lot about when thinking of this is, again, 5 years earlier is Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. I think of that era, and really a few years before that is Enema. So I mean, if you think of the Enema, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket era of the band, yes, it was a while. There was a little time in between, but not a lot when you think about it. There's like 5-6 years from there. And I just go, I don't see Mark just a few years earlier ever writing a song like this, where I don't know. Obviously, the breakup had a lot to do with it. Maybe he never could have written like this had they not broken up. I don't know. But like this song, I think of the progression in such a short amount of time. There's a lot of other artists who in 5-6 years, I mean, maybe they'll progress, but I don't think they'll change things up or be able to write songs so drastically different and improved too, in a way, you know, just in that way. Because again, this is I don't know, I really like this song. It's a very sad one, but it's also a really good fucking song.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I would say easy top 5 Plus 44 song. Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot to choose from, but it's definitely in my top, you know, songs from them. It's definitely like a sadder, like darker song. It's one of those like we've talked about this, but not everyone's heard this yet. How you said on the phone call that like you're unsure if that second verse is actually about Tom or not, because it's one of those again where, you know, you can try to poke and pry and try to find things that may not be there, but the second verse very much kind of feels like is this a jab at Tom type of thing?
Well, the other thing too is like I think kind of feeding into, even if it is a jab at Tom, but like even just being in Blink territory, is the song altogether seems very introspective. Like it sounds like Mark kind of thinking, which again, when you think of his age, kind of looking back on his life throughout the year, kind of more like his teenage. I feel like his teenage into like early 20s and shit, which is also goes into fucking Blink territory, like starting in Blink and shit like that. And it does sound like just a song that, yeah, is just kind of where he was at that time, where you do, I mean, once that band falls apart, you probably do look back on your life up to that point and everything with the band and everything outside of it. And you know, it's one of those songs where like the beginning of it doesn't sound so much like it's about Blink. It's that second verse and shit, but again, it goes into it like it's kind of going on along with his life. And I don't think it's totally far-fetched to say that second half is going into fucking the breakup.
And it's possible, but I do know that like the song Lily, like the title Lillian is about, I think, the woman who was like part of the homeowners association or something like that of San Diego. And she had like super, super strict like rules about like, you know, like what you can and can't have on like your property. And I think shortly after that, Mark ended up moving to LA.
Oh shit.
And then eventually moved to London, you know, at the later,
I just forget about that.
Like 2000, like I know
It's like
when Blink got back.
2011 or 12, I think.
Yeah,
So I think he was still
something
doing
like
his
that.
Fuse show. It was weird because he was doing his
Yeah.
Fuse show, I think, but like flying back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. He was flying back and forth during that. And so I know he was living in London. I just don't know if he like moved to LA then London or if he moved to London shortly after this. But I do know that the person Lillian is specifically about that person and like all the like I guess like the shit that she was trying to do for like the people of San Diego, and like people were just like not having it.
Oh,
So
shit.
like
I never
so
knew
like
that.
so when you like look into the lyrics, you know, you can totally like you can picture it once you know that quote unquote
Well, that
fact.
whole line makes
But
me feel like a tourist. What is the place I used to live makes me feel like
Yeah.
a tourist.
Yeah, it's the very opening line. But yeah, so like that's why like part of me is like that second verse probably not about Tom, but it's so easy to pick that out and be like, oh yeah, that's totally about him, even if it isn't.
Oh yeah, well, and that's the funny thing, and I mean, it is admittingly a thing where like, and don't get me wrong, 100% there are jabs at Tom on this record. Like no matter
sure.
what, 100% there's jabs at him. But the problem is that yeah, as a listener, like knowing the context of when this came out, knowing, you know, just everything you know about it. Like if you went in this and didn't know anything about Blink, then you'd think nothing of it, like whatever. But because it's not like he's outwardly saying, you know, it's not like there's a song on here that's just literally titled "Fuck You, Tom DeLonge." Like unless you know the backstory, you wouldn't have any clue that it's about, you know, so much about Blink's breakup. But knowing that shit, it's hard not to. I mean, but it's the same thing where like if you were. I don't know, like even if it was like a band, like someone like the lead singer in a band had like a really public like marriage or you know, just dating someone, and then they broke up and an album came out not long after. If there's songs that sound like they're about breaking up or like kind of being bitter and angry, you can't help but assume that those songs are probably about that event. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those. It's one of those things. So you can't write an angry, bitter record after Blink broke up and not listen to some of these lyrics and start going, oh, they're about Tom. But yeah, the problem is you do it as a listener, I think, without even being able to help yourself. Just being a Blink fan, you can't help yourself but kind of think, oh fuck, is that line about Tom? Oh fuck, is that line about Tom?
Yeah, I hate doing it, but it's just like it's so ingrained in me.
Yeah, like I've just accepted it. Like I don't even feel bad about it. I just have accepted it, and I think most people have. It probably I think at one point it bothered Mark. I don't know that hopefully he's kind of understood that now, where it's like I don't think it's under anyone's control. I think if you're just a big Blink fan and you know what went down at that time and how the first breakup went and shit, you can't help but think it.
Of course, yeah.
But
yeah, no. All in all, like I think this is like a super, super dope song. Like I just think this is another one of those like perfect examples for me where it's just like this is just a good Mark song. I don't care what band it's in. It's just a good Mark song.
I also like I think the bridge is different for him. Like this bridge, a lot of times you'll just get these like real quick instrumentals and it'll like he'll throw a fifth in on the bass or something. This is like it's a whole second part of the song almost, and I love that fucking that bridge is one of the best parts, and then back into the chorus. Like that is so great. Like I think it's another example of Mark getting out of his comfort zone and writing better. The only, you know, it's funny though, the only thing I would change about this song, I would make the chorus heavier and just to really bring home that whole quiet verse, loud chorus. Like I feel like they could have fucking beefed it up more. But one thing about this record, and me and you talked about it last time, not when we were not recording, so I guess no one's heard it, but Jerry Finn came in to produce this record, but way later on, like at the end of it. So this record really was mostly produced by Mark and Travis, like by them, like their first time, like doing kind of self-recording and self-producing in that way. And I think there's times on this album where if Jerry Finn was there earlier, I think it would, like shit like this where I go, I think someone who knew what they were doing more could have made it sonically, just figured some or heard that more, where they go to really stress these parts, like make this part louder, or because they're doing that anyway. Like obviously that's what they're going for. It's the heavy part, but I think it could be beefed up and pushed up more in a way that I think if you're doing that the first time, you're going to miss. But I think if you had someone like Jerry Finn in right away, but at the same time, and I love this because I'm thinking out loud, so I kind of go both ways. But like, it sucks in a way. I think it's weird. I don't know. I think it kind of sucks that Jerry Finn wasn't there earlier on, just because I love what he does with people. He's my all-time favorite producer. But at the same time, maybe this album would sound too much like Blink if Jerry Finn was there earlier on. You know?
Yeah, who knows? Like, it's it's that whole thought process of like, they always said like, oh, Jerry Finn's like that fourth member of Blink, that kind of.
Oh, he really was.
When they were having trouble like figuring things out, he would be the one to like set arrangements or like kind of tell them what to do, and for the most part, it always worked. But like also like the thought of like, okay, well, these guys are trying to do it on their own. Let's see what they can do. And obviously, there's some of these songs that like maybe don't have the best quality to them, audio wise or mixing wise or whatever, but that there's some charm to that, like whether someone was involved with it or not, like, there's still something about that's nice to know that. So it's like, this is a completely like homegrown song. And then there's certain things where it's like, oh yeah, this person helped produce this. And like, sometimes you can just tell like who produced what, or like, oh, who had their hands on this record based on the tones and stuff like that. But I do like that fact that like, he wasn't all over it, because it still was, plus 44 at the heart. And then he came in later and obviously, kind of probably took care of some stuff. And yeah, maybe some songs would have ended up sounding like Blink, or maybe they would have gone a completely different direction sound wise, because he was there from the get-go. There might not have been songs like Little Death or another song that'll come up later, but it would and it's not a song that I think you would think of, maybe. But it's it's nice knowing that he wasn't there for this record, because of that kind of like, let's kind of just DIY it for the most part.
No, it is a good point. I can't help but think that, the album, well, obviously it would have been different with him in the beginning, but I do think it would have, I don't know, I think it would have went more towards them, falling on their old kind of, not that they rewrite Blink, but like, there's just certain things you might fall back on that you did while recording with him in Blink that would have been easier to do had it not been, Mark and Travis really figuring out this shit themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Which they've both become obviously great producers and stuff too, and I mean, before this, I know he like I was saying, Mark did commit this to memory, but even on that record, I think he might have. I know Newfound Glory said this, or one of them did, and I think a few other people have. I think now he might be more of a producer, but I think on some of those first ones, he was more of someone who just kind of gave his just producer in that sense of opinion of going, you shouldn't do this or that, not so much of adding ideas, is more of just going like, this song sounds good, or this or even being a mixer, even maybe more than anything, just kind of mixing the album, like figuring out how it should sound. But I think he's gotten really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this song, I always look at it, and I don't know if it is considered or not, but I mean, to me is the end of side A. This is the end of side A, in my opinion. I know. In a way, I look at it and go, maybe Interlude is supposed to break up the album, but in my eyes, this is the end of the first half of the record.
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe. Like, it's funny because you brought that up a lot on some of these about like a side A, side B, and like I've never thought about that way.
See,
maybe because I'm not into vinyl and I'm not into records. Like that's just never been like my thing. So I never think about a side A or a side B. I just think I just think of like an album like sonically from front to back. And which, another thing about this album, part of me is like, the track like order, not the best. Like,
you don't like the track order.
I mean, there's some things I like, but like as a whole album, I feel like there could have been a couple things flip-flopped here and there to make it sonically sound a little bit better. But I mean, what the fuck do I know?
Well, do you have anything else for Lillian?
Nope. I'm like Mark, and I want to move away from this song.
Oh no, dude!
I'm doing it with everything. No, I'm kidding.
with cliff diving, just kind of talking about like, when I'd be interested too. I mean, if you have points, I would love to hear, like, if you're like, oh, this song should go here, this or that. But like with this song, I think it's placed in a good spot because it breaks up the more kind of sad like I think a lot of the sad songs are fucking front loaded on this. I think a lot more of the angry songs are thrown on the second half, and I think the first half there's more of those the baby come on, the Lillian, the Little Death, like songs like that, a little more melancholy. And Cliff Diving, I think, breaks it up really well. That's the other thing why I go spiritually, this is a side, and I do, and maybe it's vinyl, but I do enjoy doing that. And you're right, I do it a lot. I even do it with the fucking radio show because we do it for 2 hours, and I'll think in my head in ways where I go hour 1 and hour 2. I don't just throw fucking 2 hours together. I think of it very much like that. I go, what's the perfect way to like break that up? Like I always think of that. Same with like albums. Like I very much am. You are right. I've never thought of it, but I am kind of into that. Like even if it's spiritual, like it's in my eyes for fucking, because this album is on vinyl now, but it didn't come out on vinyl. But to me, the spiritual end of side A is Lillian, and Cliff Diving brings us into side B of the record. And I think really, if you're looking at it that way, is a good kickoff to the second half. It's a breakup of the sad shit. I think it's kind of a fun song about young love. Like this is a song that I don't think is about Tom. This song sounds too happy. This song literally, like, I think it's like it would almost kind of be like, and I hate doing this, but like we're in the territory, so it's bound to happen. This is like Mark's version of like Reckless Abandon or Rites of Spring. Dude, I wrote Wendy Clear. This is the Wendy Clear of the album.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, in comparison to, like, for me, it's like, this is his, like, ode to growing up, summers, great memories with your friends. Like Tom had Reckless Abandon, with all the, stupid lyrics, we talked about that before. But also, like, he did that Rites of Spring song, which is very much, like, adolescence, growing up, very autobiographical.
That's the one about, like, on my birthday, like I can't remember the lyrics, but yeah, it is. It's like it's different from an Angels and Airwaves song too, because normally he's singing about fucking like things that are like he's not autobiographical at all in that band, and that song very much is.
But yeah, like this song, like this is the one summer song on this record.
Yes, this is a song you can throw on a summer playlist and totally works.
Because like for me, it just reminds me of like, kind of like in the lyrics and kind of like what the meaning of the song is in a way. Like this reminds me of like being at a friend's house and like jumping off the garage and jumping off the roof and like, climbing in the attic and just like doing stupid shit and like just being goofy. Like, summer break, you don't have to worry about school. Let's cut loose. And this song is a cut loose type of feel. But it also has kind of like that growing up where it's just kind of like, it's kind of like the story of like, or that thought where it's, there was a moment in your life when you and your friends stopped playing outside.
Yes.
And I have that thought in this song primarily for the lyric. Sometimes I fear that life will never be this same. Sometimes I think that's the answer, because it's very much like, there's no way I'm going to have this moment and this feeling again. Because now that I'm growing up and getting older, I'm not playing outside with my friends anymore. And it's like a self-realization of like, this is the last time we're doing that.
That is a great point. It's this song actually, it's funny because it's like Lily and I do hear parts where like it could be about Blink, but I also do feel like it's introspective and it is kind of looking back on your life in ways. And Cliff Diving does that as well. And really, it is kind of the same thing, like that sad thought of, wow, like it can never be this way. Like you'll never be 17 again. And there's a lot of things you'll never do the first time again. Like there's nothing that magic, the glamour and glimmer of it and shit, of even just being young and shit, is gone. It's temporary. Like it's there and it's not. And I think he's kind of doing that in this too, but it's not in such a sad way. Like I don't hear this song and get sad. Even when he says like those lines, like I feel like he's not saying. He's said things like that before in songs, and sometimes it sounds sadder. In this one, I don't get bummed. It's not like a sad, you know what I mean? Which is interesting.
No,
same topic, but coming at it, I guess, from a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like like someone made the reference to Motion City thing a long time ago. I saw where it's like maybe it might even been Mark. I don't know, but it's like
no, that was me when we were talking about Baby Come On.
no, like this was like a long time ago where Mark was or someone was saying like Motion City soundtrack's music is so fucking happy, but like he writes the darkest lyrics.
Oh, the lyrics
on top
are
of
dark
that.
as fuck.
But like if you were to separate the two, you listen to the music by itself, you're like, wow, this is really upbeat. And then you look at the lyrics, like, wow, this is fucking dark and depressing and like crazy. You put the two together and like it somehow works.
That's a good point because you think of like when everything is all right, fucking like I don't even remember that. Like I feel like that was in a bunch of fucking movies for a year or two. Like that song,
I have no idea.
Everything is all right was like I don't know. You would see anyways. It would be like in fucking soundtracks and on movies and shit. And it is funny because it's like they'd be on like these kind of summer movies and shit, kind of like upbeat and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like really lyrically, it's not like an upbeat fucking song. It's like OCD and shit.
Yeah, and so like with that one line that I kind of reference, like it's like a sad lyric, but it's not presented that way, which I find really fucking cool. Because like there's emo for being emo's sake. But then, like, there's something more to it when you put a dark lyric, but the intention behind it isn't dark.
That I haven't want to use the example. No, I guess I won't because I've held off a few times. I'll bring it up when it comes up, but I won't say it, and I feel like people might know the line without me even saying it. But later on in the record, there's a line that instantly you hear that I go, it's emo for emo's sake. And it sounds like in a way where it's just kind of you almost laugh when you hear it.
Sure.
And it's like you're being that way to be. I mean, it's a drastic, like fucking cut my wrists and black my eyes. Like there's a drasticness that, you know what I mean? Like you're being emo. Like that is a push of something. Whereas
I wasn't going to go there earlier when we were talking about some songs, but I almost went there.
Oh no, and look at like I
with
love
that exact lyric.
I love Hawthorne Heights and like I fucking love Ohio's
I know you do.
and stuff. But like obviously, yeah, that song is more like that. That is more of one where you could go, okay, yeah, that's being drastic. Like and I've heard JT defend it where he's like, yeah, like I'm trying to drive home like how fucking emo it is when you basically I'm not his words, but like how sad you are on the road away from someone or something. But it's like. There's writing in that way where it's like you're really being like fucking to the extreme, and Mark has done that a lot of times again where he's done things where it's like, all right, you're being emo for emo's sake, but on this record a lot of times like that line you're saying, he's doing it in such a natural way where it's like it's not being sad just to be sad.
Yeah, exactly. There's a little bit more thought to it.
Yeah, and I like that because it's also not something he always does. Like there's more. Just like the last two Blink records, I think he's more intentional in his lyrics and shit and trying to do that where like he goes out of his way to go, I'm going to write this song that sounds like this and has this sing-along chorus. And it fucking sucks when you do that. I think on this album, he wrote how he fucking wrote. Like, like it is very real. Like it doesn't feel like Mark wrote like these songs he wrote and we get to hear. It's not like he wrote 3 different drafts before he got to something. Like this seems very like real where he was at the time lyrically too. Like again, it kind of feels like a time capsule in that way where it's like you feel like how he was feeling in that time in his life in a way where maybe you do more than others. I don't know that I listen to Enema of the State and go, oh, I get where Mark was at that time. Like they're great songs, but I don't hear it in that way where I hear this one and I go, they're like, I don't know if that makes sense, but you hear this one and I feel like it has more to do with what's revolving around in his life. Maybe just lyrically it seems more autobiographical and introspective than just a random song about like fucking hanging out with a girl or something. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
There's more of him in this than say The Rock Show.
No, of course.
You know what I mean? Like shit like that where there's just more injected in there where this song, like, because even like going with the youth thing, like something, and I've never heard him say this, but I'm going to assume I'm 100% just gonna fucking put words in his mouth. But the references in this, the first verse was Silly Girl, referencing the Descendants, and then the second one he comes in with Dear You, referencing Jawbreaker. Like I think 100% those references. Obviously, Descendants being a huge influence on Blink, and also I know Dear You he's talked praise on that album for years. And when you think about it being about his youth, that makes sense. I'm sure Silly Girl was a fucking song that somehow connected to, you know, a person or a place. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's listening to Descendants when he's a teenager. Like, I'm sure, I mean, just Silly Girl. I'm sure Silly Girl could even be a person, but it's still a reference, I'm sure, to the Descendants, you know, which, again, I like it because it's a nod to his youth. That's why also, those two lines, the Dear You and the Silly Girl, also are why I go, this song is exactly about just being a teenager and those, like, you know, just enjoying life in that way that you can never enjoy again. You know, just life can never be that way again. You know what's funny about this song? I know you say no songs on this record, and I don't know. I want to hear what you think about this. Tell me. You can tell me to go fuck myself. You can hang up on the phone on me if you want. I could see this song reworked a bit. If this song had a faster tempo and you reworked it, I could see this as a Blink song.
Yeah, but again, you'd have to rework it and stuff like that. Like, and I said, like, at the beginning, like, you know, there's a little bit here and there you can kind of do and be like, oh, I can kind of hear Tom.
But also, let me
say
say this: when I say reworked, I don't mean a ton. So when I say that, I don't mean reface the whole song. Lyrically, it stays the same. The key, I mean, really, I would probably just strip back some of the shit, and it would just be more of a, you know, just a trio kind of thing. And I would say I'd keep it about 85% of the way it is. So when I say rework it, I mean rework it about like maybe 15%.
Okay. All right.
If that gives you a better idea of where I'm coming at.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like of all the songs on this album, I think I could see this as a Blink one. Because also, though, it also could be the lightheartedness of it. Because again, it breaks up. It's breaking up a song like Lillian where you go, I could never hear Blink do this song. And then I compare it to this song and I go, oh, fuck. Like, yeah, I could totally hear them writing a song about the summertime.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's the thing. It's the summertime feel, which is Blink's, like, bread and butter.
But I did write, though, going along with that, Mark probably would have written this song on the next Blink record had they not broken up, or no, I'm sorry, would have worked on the follow-up to Untitled, which I do stand by that. I actually think this song, again, going back to having to rework it a little bit, I could see this could be a song. Sorry, I know I keep fucking muttering and stuttering like I said I would before we started recording. But this song to me, if it would have been reworked a little bit and for Untitled, oh man, what was I just about to say? I just lost my fucking thought, man. Oh my god,
this could have been on the next Blink record.
Yes, it was going to be on the next Blink record, but what was I just about to compare it to? Oh, like I think it would have worked on a follow up, or I don't know. I can't remember what I was about to compare it to. Moving on. Oh my god, dude! I just had the best thought, and I just lost it. As I was saying it, I just had the best.
Here and gone.
It was, dude. It was. If you thought We Don't Need to Whisper revolutionized the world, you should have heard the thought I just had. Because that fucking thought was about to revolutionize the world, dude. This podcast about to make us fucking millionaires, bro.
Fuck, man.
Fucking millionaires. You know how many famous stars and strap shirts you could have bought? Had I remembered that thought? You many subscriptions to Mod Life you could give out to friends this Christmas? Anyway, cliff diving. Anything to add to this one? And you know what's funny? I'm gonna remember my thought when we're in the middle of another song.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna happen.
Just like your thought just dove off of the end of your mind. We'll go on to the next song.
Dude. Cliff diving is a great title, though. I gotta say, because I was thinking earlier when you were talking about like comparing to your just even jumping off a garage, that cliff diving of just the unknown. I think of that. You're just jumping into the unknown, which really is that end of adolescence. That like you kept like. I love that. You've used that before. I think on here, but like the last time you like hang out with your friends or go outside to play, And it is that like, as you get older, as you get into like high school into college, and it starts to like morph and shit, and just going into the unknown, your life after high school, basically just jumping into the unknown of life. I think Cliff Diving is such a great title for a song that it's not like he never says cliff diving unless I'm missing it somewhere. He never says it.
He kind of does like a loose reference to it on like the second part of the first verse, where it's like hot afternoons we climbed onto the neighbor's house, breathed deep, and jumped into the waiting sky.
Oh fuck that! I forgot. That's a great.
So
line.
that's like the closest thing. That's like the closest thing.
But yeah, nothing like direct. But really, for the, I'm trying to think of it right now. Besides "Baby Come On" and "When Your Heart Stops Beating," most of these aren't like titles with, you know what I mean? Like the name of the song isn't like the chorus or the hook or something like that. Which I guess Mark doesn't do a lot anyways. I like "Damn It" and shits like that. So I guess it's not the first time, but I just kind of noticed that on this record.
Gotcha.
A lot of the ones aren't just like named after it. I feel like it's a deeper meaning too than like naming a song Dick Lips. I feel like these are more thought out though. Like even though it's not the name, it's not like he just pulled Cliff Diving out of his ass. It makes total sense.
But you know what's not thought out? Interlude.
Fucking dude. Thank you so much. That was a perfect fucking transition, bro.
But I'll start off with this one because I do like I know like not many people actually like this or like any of the instrumental stuff that Blink or any of the bands have
you're
really
talking
done.
about me.
Yeah, no, I know plenty of my friends are just like, oh, this, I don't give a fuck about this. Oh, Fallen Interlude, I don't give a shit. Like,
nope.
I know people that don't care for the instrumentals. I don't mind it. Like, I think it's fun. It's different. I always was into like bands that had like a song that was like an intro that was like 30 seconds to a minute long. Like, I always thought that stuff was cool, just like to like musically like either have an introduction to an album or like just have something to split it up. And the only other thing really about this that I thought was cool was like after I heard this, back when I was like thinking I would be really cool and be like, oh, maybe a band isn't my thing. Maybe I'll be like a producer or something. I ended up mixing this and Fallen Interlude on like Audacity and like making like a mix like mashup between the two.
Nice.
And it actually sounded kind of cool for like what I was able to do with it. And I thought it was really neat. Like it's not on this computer. It might be on my old computer, but I thought it was really rad at the time. Could be shit now, but like when I heard this, like I just thought like, okay, well there's two instrumentals now that are out there. That's kind of neat. And then like I started like thinking of the melodies in my head. I'm like, holy shit, like these actually kind of go together.
I could see those working. Like as you say, I've never thought of it before, but like thinking of them both in my head, I could see where like they if you put them together the right way, like I see where the workings would make sense.
Yeah.
That's fucking, I don't know, that's neat you did that. Yeah, I'm one of those. I mean, like look at again, it's up there with like all the small things and some of those songs where if I'm listening to a record front to back, fine, I'll listen to it. But yeah, well, I guess no one really probably puts this song on for fun, but like I will leave it on too for the merits of it. In a way, it is like a spiritual intro to Weatherman. Like I feel like if you look at it that way, it's fine. My whole thing is like I love Blink, but like they are not the musicians to write instrumentals. Like they're just not the band who are doing something interesting enough. Like none of these are interesting enough for me to be like, I mean, whether it's this one, the Fallen Interlude, the fucking instrumental on the Boxcar Racer album, even like the I don't know, I'm kind of lukewarm on it. The intro on the deluxe edition of Neighborhoods, the one for Hearts All Gone. It's
yeah.
There's times where I don't mind it, to be honest. Like I'm not gonna say actually really that one might be my favorite of all of them because I think it just makes sense, the build up into it. But even that, I'm like, they're just not musicians who are like, but like it's not just them. Like Everclear has an instrumental on one of their like one of my favorite Everclear records, but they're another one. They're just not mute. Like they're great at what they do, but they aren't like these really like classically trained musicians who can do something interesting musically, like in a way that would keep my attention. So like when I listen to that, I just go, just give me another full fucking rock song. Like something like Plus 44. Like just, I would rather, I mean, I guess it's not either or. I doubt if this song wasn't on here, we wouldn't get another song. So I mean, I can't say they're depriving us of something from it, but I'm just, this song could not exist and I wouldn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's just kind of,
I get that.
If I wake up tomorrow and every copy of When Your Heart Stops Beating in the universe, this song is missing on, I'm not going to go like looking for it. I'm not going to start a fucking investigation or like I'm not going to go online and go, I swear this song was on here yesterday.
It got Mandela affected out of your head.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm just gonna let it be. Like I'm not gonna. I'm just like whatever. I'm gonna go on with my day. I'm like, we're better. You know what? We're better off for it. We're fucking better off for it.
And it's funny because I would totally be like, why is this gone?
Just bother you. Where the fuck did it go?
Yeah.
Fucking.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's fun.
I like again. Like it's kind of like with the Heart's All Gone one. I don't think that interlude is anything special, but building into the next song.
I'm pretty sure the Heart's All Gone one was just because Mark wrote two versions of it. One was fast and one was slow. They didn't know what to do, so they used both.
Yeah, it was probably something like that. But like again, like I love Mark, but it's like he's not like instrumentals. Like, I don't give a fuck about instrumentals from most people. If you're Eddie Van Halen, I'll listen to Eruption. That's fine. But, like, unless you're really, like, a virtuoso of your instruments, there's not, like
but
like, if you're Rush, like, I think of shit like that. If you're, like, in the prog rock, like, again, like, if you're a pop punk band, I just don't feel like instrumentals is the realm you need to go into.
Sure, but also like if you think about all these instrumentals, like how often are these instrumentals like really like it's not really the band doing them. Like think of the Fallen Interlude, that's way more like hip hop oriented. And there's like, there's a guitar line, like, it's really high like on the neck, and it's like it doesn't sound like shit that like Tom would play on guitar, especially on something like that. It's very much more like hip hop oriented. This one, it's just electronic music essentially, like the only one that's really like with the band is really the Boxcar one, and that's got that really like haunting children's piano.
Sounds like it sounds like a fucking foreshadow to Angels and Airwaves to me.
Yeah, but like I guess like for me, like that instrumental was very much driven by that like really haunting piano sound, and like the interlude here is more driven by like just the electronic music. Fallen Interlude is more hip hop. So like yes, these pop punk bands have instrumentals that are on their albums, but they're not reminiscent of their sound, which I think is cool, and that's why I think it's fun.
That makes sense. I mean that I agree with. I mean they do change it up and shit, but I just don't feel like there's anything special enough there where I feel like they need to be on a record. That's my thing.
No, I understand that. But, I find stuff like that fun. That's all I say.
But yeah, is there anything else you would like to add to interlude before we go on?
Nope. Just like the song, I don't have any lyrics. I have nothing else to say.
Well, I mean, going into Weatherman, this is a song talking about like how this album's aged really well. I didn't realize how good this fucking, like, actually, not even recently. I say this anytime, because it is buried on the second half of the record.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'll forget about this song, and anytime I hear it, I go, oh, fuck, I forget how much I like this song. This is a good fucking song. And I say that, I feel like I just say it's a good fucking song.
Yeah, and it's one of the longer songs on this record. Like, I think it's like the third longest, maybe.
Is this in the 4-minute range?
Yes, it's like 4.5 minutes.
Fuck.
And just like what I said with Little Death, like I love like how low his vocals are throughout this song. And it's like kind of like a term that I just used a second ago. Like this song is so haunting to me. It's like a Mark Hoppus song. I fucking love it. It's because of this and Little Death why I think I love the song Fighting the Gravity so much, because of that low register and just how dark it sounds. Even if like there's like that one line in this song, it's like, I'm dying, I'm trying to leave. Like that's like the darkest part of the song, in my opinion, lyrically. And you can take that away and the song still fucking like almost terrifies me on how dark it is for like Mark.
It really is, and I love like the drums are fucking great on it, and they're like, you know, people give Travis. Sometimes I hear people be like, oh, he overplays and this and that, but like I feel like on a song like that, he knows his place. There's really this album as a whole, like there's parts where he'll like there's high, like again, like his hi-hats are, but you know what though, that kind of goes with it though. His hi-hat work on this album's amazing. But we say that, but it's not like there's tons of like signature drum fills. Like he changes up his shit on here. Like for people who are like he overplays and stuff like that, he plays the right amount on this record. He's needed on it. Like how we say like with like it's better that Tom's not on it, that you don't hear that. This album I think wouldn't be as good without Travis playing drums.
Even like on this song, like every time I listen to it and there's like the bridge comes up and there's like a good like the bridge is super empty musically, and it's just like really distorted bass ring outs, and then like Travis is just kind of like just kind of hitting like snares and toms and shit. But like it sounds so much like he's in an empty fucking room when he's doing it, and it just adds to like the creepy element of this song. That it just like for me like this is such like without having a whole lot to it, it's such a complete song.
It's funny you bring up the like big, what did you say, like big empty room it sounds like they're playing in?
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I always conjure up in my head for some reason like a big empty, I guess it'd be like a fucking hangar, like a plant, like they're playing in like the After Midnight music video, like just big empty fucking like even just empty just storage space or some shit, just because the way that like that reverb and everything off of it too, like on the drums and shit, like it sounds like they're playing in this really big empty room. Like it's a big room, but it sounds empty as fuck.
Yeah, it almost like kind of reminds me of like this would be like a song that they wrote and recorded. Like they recorded the song in one take all together, and they were just in a room, like kind of like how like you see like old like recordings of like bands where they're all like in the same room kind of jamming to the song, and they're all recording like their own parts in real time. This song reminds me of that.
I could see that because there's a really good, before the music really breaks in together, like all together, just that beginning with the drums and bass really locking in, like, and that does have that like live feel. The other fucking thing that adds to it, this is the fuzziest bass Mark has ever fucking had. There is so much goddamn fuzz, dude. That is so much fucking fuzz. I've never heard that much fuzz on his bass.
Like, could you, just imagine, take all the fuzz out, and like, instead of like, just like, he's probably playing chords, or maybe he's just, he's just hitting a string and it's so distorted.
You know what, dude? I don't think he is, because with that much fuzz, I think if he played chords, I think it would sound, it'd be too much. I don't think that would work.
You're the bass player here.
Yeah, so I don't think chords would work with that much fuzz.
Like, another thing with this song, though, is like, this song almost has to sound this way for like what it is. Because could you imagine, take away the fuzz, and if they just did like with the drums, but Mark's like signature kind of like running bass lines like in the beginning, like it would not work.
No, you need that fuzz.
Like,
that fuzz is a big part of it.
And like his voice, like, and how like slow he sings, like imagine him trying to kick it up like an extra octave and like, change the tempo. The song would not be as good if it was trying to like almost like, we'll say, kind of emulate like a Blink sound. Like I can totally picture this like rewritten. Like you see those stupid YouTube videos where it's like, imagine if Blink wrote, Semi-Charmed Kind of Life. And I'm like, I don't really, and there's someone who does that on YouTube and I can't stand it. People think he's a genius. I don't get it. But like you could redo this song and make it more pop punky, drivey, whatever you want. But it takes away everything that makes the song good.
It wouldn't be as good, and you just really brought up a great point, you made me think of a good point with like talking about Mark's voice in this song. You know what's something I never really think it's something you notice probably like in your mind, but you don't really think about it out loud. That chorus is so good because the chorus is fairly heavy musically, but he's almost whispering. Like his vocals aren't really matching the music. It's really this counterbalance that works fucking perfect. It's not dissonant or anything like that, but it almost shouldn't work They're doing his what he's doing vocally, and then what the music's doing is two different things, and it works so well. Like there's not another real song that he's done that sound like I will say there's nothing that sounds like this, but I also get your whole like the fighting the gravity and all that. You do hear, I think, where they would later go with like Neighborhoods kind of era. Like there is shit on here where it doesn't sound like it would be on Neighborhoods, but you go, oh, this is the beginning of Mark kind of writing this way.
These darker songs like Little Death and Weatherman are the songs that have been like, okay, these would have been Neighborhood style songs.
Me and you talked about this, I think, or maybe I just wrote it down, but I wonder if Heart's All Gone was originally a Plus 44 song. Just because,
we talked.
Okay,
yeah, we talked about that on the phone call.
That's something I think we should talk about though, real quick, because that is I do think when you think of the "Fuck You Tom" songs that are on this album, and you think of Heart's All Gone, and really, I mean, at that point, I mean, they were fucking touring together and shit. I mean, maybe they were still annoyed with each other a little. We don't know, but I don't think it was enough to be writing "Fuck You Tom" songs. I can't help but think that, I think Heart's All Gone at least started as an idea during like Plus 40, like during that era when Blink was broken up.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I
think that song would have ended up on a plus. There's just certain songs where I think even if like Blink didn't get back together, maybe you would hear later on. And I do think that that would be one. I think Heart's All Gone, and maybe even Stop Living in the Shadow of a Helicopter. Is that MH? Is that song?
That is it's either MH or it's the Kaleidoscope. I'm drawing a blank off the top.
No, it's not. Okay, then it is the other one because it's not Kaleidoscope. Okay. Like that's one that actually I could hear, and maybe I think about that because I think of their cover of Guten Tag. But like, it's a song that I could maybe hear on a later Plus 44 record as more of as a single. Like if they were pushing that more of the Blink thing, I could see that as a single on Plus 40. The second record, I think that would have been the single.
I'm glad it became like a minor Blink single because they did have a music video for it. Again, it was like a live.
There's a music video. Oh, that's okay. That's why.
Yeah, it's a live type music video.
Fuck those. They ain't music videos.
But I'm so glad they at least put it out there. You know, like if you go to if you go to the Wikipedia for Neighborhoods, there's a link to click on for a separate Wikipedia page just for Heart's All Gone. And that, I like that.
Oh, wait, you're talking about Heart's All Gone. Yeah, I did know that was... I thought you were talking about fucking Shadow of a Helicopter.
Oh, no. Heart's All Gone would have been a Plus 44 song that could have been a single, but I'm glad at least it was labeled a single under Blink.
Oh, yeah. No, it was a Blink one. I don't know if do you remember the promotional thing they did when it came out? You had to go to I believe their website, and it was almost like numbers would just keep fucking going. Like it would just spin by, and you had to click at the right time on 182 to make
something
it play.
Like that. It sounds familiar. Yeah.
If it wasn't that, it was after midnight, but I want to say it was, no, you know what? Maybe it was fucking after midnight. It was, I think someone figured it out because I couldn't get it. It was a fucking pain in the ass. I think shortly, hours later, someone just figured it out and posted it or something. Or just probably that. They just posted it somewhere. But, it is funny because, again, a lot of these songs you can't really hear as Blink songs, but you can still hear where the influence did creep up into what he would write, for Neighborhoods and shit.
Oh, 100%.
Which you don't hear, though. The interesting thing is I don't feel like you hear it in his writing now. I feel like and again, it's also, but I always say I don't feel like he's genuinely writing on the current Blink stuff, but, I don't hear the same, which is what bums me out, is really that more mature Mark. Even though Neighborhoods is not the greatest Blink record, there are some really strong Mark moments on there. And his writing on there and writing on even Dogs Eating Dogs, even though he didn't write a lot on it, but that one and Plus 44 and shit, that era of Mark was so good that it makes me sad to think that I listen to California and go, it sounds nothing like the same guy who wrote, none of those songs to me sound like the same fucking guy who wrote Weatherman or fucking Lillian or Baby Come On or Little Death or any of those. They don't sound like the same person to me.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I can see it because I guess I got so into Mark once Plus 44 started. Mm-hmm. I started feeling more like Mark than I was Tom at that time. And we've said it before a million times, Tom very much appeals to adolescence. Mark's more, introspective and stuff like that, and a little bit older. So like, I guess like as I was getting older, I was starting to transition to that Mark guy, and I still love Tom, always will. But Mark, like from here on out, like even on like 9 and stuff like that, like I still like, maybe because I'm just thinking this way now, but like I still appreciate like some of the stuff that Mark's doing on the newer stuff.
No, I mean there's times where I'm being too critical, but again, it comes from a place of love.
Oh,
he is
sure.
one of my favorite, because sometimes I do feel like I'm just shit, which I guess I am, like the newer stuff, but like it's also, but also at the same time, as stupid as it is, that's how strongly I feel about like an album called Enema of the State. Like, you know
right?
What I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's like, that's how strongly I feel about his body of work, is as stupid as that may be. That like I care that much to be like, it makes me sad that I don't feel like you're writing to the quality that you could be writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no,
like
for sure.
I have to give a fuck to do that. You know what I mean? Like I have to give a fuck to give a shit. I'm trying to say. Is what I'm trying to say here. But this is definitely, again, if there's songs where you think it's about Blink, I think Weatherman definitely has that it's another one where you can't help but go, oh yeah, this one definitely feels like it could be about. I think it is, actually. As I say that, I think it'd be hard to, in my opinion, I'd be very surprised if this song wasn't about Blink.
I have no idea. I've literally never thought of it for this song.
If I wish I could get the lyrics up right, maybe I can.
I have them up right now.
Okay, even the first fucking, what's the line, like, so you say, read them.
So you think you've been through it all, but I can't help but wonder now. Yesterday I found my worst regret. I'll hide it away so no one ever knows.
I think it's about Blink, dude. It's about Blink, bro.
I'll say this. If we want to do it this way,
but
we can agree to disagree on this.
Yes,
but we can 100,000,000% agree on the fucking next song.
Oh yeah. Oh no. That was gonna be my transition. Was I mean, of all the. It's funny because we were talking about it, how there's a lot of songs on here that feel like they're about Tom, but I mean, this is like there's
this is Tom.
Yeah,
it is.
You can't. Wait, did you say yes? It is.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. Wait, did you set me up for that?
Oh yeah, I hope so.
Oh, okay, good.
It gave you the alley so you can oop it.
Alley oop, motherfucker. I mean, my first note just says this song goes hard as fuck. I mean,
oh yeah,
just right away. This song. To me, and I love the song because it's just pure. This song is pure passive aggressive, bitter,
it's pure
angry.
Emotion.
It's all fucking emotion. And this is, I mean, like I was talking about earlier, like the lyric I'm alluding to, which I mean, I feel like everyone, like one of the famous fucking ones, like let's slit our wrists and burn down something beautiful. Like that's emo to be emo. And I don't think it's bad. Again, like, but it's just like, I don't think cut my wrists and black my eyes is a bad line. Do I think it's fucking really, like, do I think it's really over the top emotional? Absolutely. I like the line. I see what they're driving a point home. And it's the same with this one. I go, it's fucking really drastic, but it's like, I get I get that this song is pure emotion. This is cathartic. Like,
yeah, this is a song he's literally writing in the moment, I feel.
Yeah, you know what? I've never thought about that, but I think you're absolutely right, because I think if he thought about it anymore, I don't know that this song would have came out the same way. This isn't a song that you write. This isn't like the third revision of lyrics.
No, this is just like maybe he scratched out a line or two or whatever, but other than that, this is just pure like pure emotion at its most heated, and I love it.
I mean, even the music, like talk about too, like music and lyrics just fitting perfectly. Like everything about this song works. Like the whole build up, the entire build up of
the build is great.
It's the best moment. Like this isn't my favorite song on the album, but in a weird, maybe you'll understand this because again, I think it goes to, I've talked about a few times. You have to know the context. if you're listening to this album and you're listening to this podcast and shit, you know the context, you know the heaviness of like, oh my God, it's about fucking Blink and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
But like the whole buildup of this song, just going into it and stuff, like you're like anticipating it. Like they don't, and they're teasing you because it's not like Lycanthrope. They don't hit you the second it, like it's not right away. It's getting there, and I think you can kind of sense something's coming. But like it takes a while. It takes like the second. It's not the verse chorus thing that they're doing earlier on where it's a quiet verse and then 30 seconds later they're in the really loud fucking chorus. They're really teasing you on this one.
Yeah.
Like there's a real fucking build up. And I mean, I think it does. It just drives the point home of like, again, it's like this song of any song on the song of this record is just an emotion. Like this song is a feeling or an emotion. Oh, and that's what I was saying is, and I think you might get it, like just knowing what you know and what the song's about, even though it's not my favorite song on the record. And I mean, I love the song. I'm not saying it like that. I mean, this is probably, it might be, it's at least top 5, maybe top 3. But anyway, of all the songs, though, it almost gets you the most excited when it comes on, because I think even all these years removed, just knowing what it's about and everything about it and the emotion behind shit, like you just still get excited listening to it.
Oh yeah, like this is one of those songs. Like I know exactly where I was when I heard this, because I was definitely on like the plus 44 is going to do something type of thing, and I remember going onto their website after hearing about it, and it was just like, I'm pretty sure it was just their white pixelated, parenthesis plus 44 like
great
logo.
Fucking logo too.
Yeah, super simple, but I love the digital look of it. And I think the website just auto played the song, if I remember correctly. And I remember sitting there listening to it in like this classroom, like this like this like study hall resource class, and like no one gave a shit. So I'm just sitting there on the computer, and I'm like listening to this song, and I knew it immediately what it was about. Like obviously the title I thought was more tongue in cheek than anything, but like listening to it, I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing. Like I don't care it's Tom's birthday. I think this is one of the ballsiest things you can do, and I think it was so rad that they did it. Like I thought it was great. I was not disappointed whatsoever when I heard it.
No, I agree with you there. Like the whole. And I think you said even he's like outwardly just admitted now, but like I know at times Mark was like coy about what it was about, but it's like, damn well what it's about. And,
yeah.
I mean, you really, like you got to be stupid to believe when he's like, no, it's not about that. It's like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. All right, man.
I was a senior in high school when I heard this song, and like I was just as upset as anyone else when like Blink split up. But like hearing this, being like, this was kind of like the first like, kind of like, I guess you can say diss track in a way, if you want to call it that.
It is a diss track.
Well, it is, but I'm just saying, like, for, like you can write a diss track and be like, oh, that's a rapper thing or whatever. It's stupid. But like, it was a diss track in the Blink universe,
Yeah.
Like no Boxcar Racer song was like a I dislike Blink, I dislike Mark type thing. No. There was none of that, This is kind of like, Mark's like first, thing out there, publicly speaking or singing about Blink and Tom. And I thought it was just fantastic. Obviously, once the album got released and then they added like the ending, like lines, like the last lyrics of the song, but like not much really changed musically from like the first introduction to this. And I was glad that like it didn't go through such a big change, because there's times where they'll release like a demo of something and then you hear the full version and it's like, whoa, this sounds totally different.
Yeah, sometimes the demo's better too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I like the demo of this. Like they could have kept it the exact same way and I would have been totally content.
I actually don't think I've heard the demo before.
Oh yeah, it's basically like, I don't think there's as much drums in it if I remember correctly, and like the last lines of the last lyrics aren't in it, where it's like, laying rotting where I fall, I'm dead from bad intentions, suffocating and embalmed. Like that whole end line, like that whole portion wasn't there.
Oh, that's a great part too. You gotta have that part.
Exactly, and that was added like during, obviously the like once they got to the studio and all that stuff. But if it wasn't added, I wouldn't, like, my opinions of the song wouldn't change.
They, I mean, this song too, I just, releasing it on his birthday, and then also, like, I think it's so funny too that it was his 30th, because you also just think of like Blink was Tom's 20s, like that was his life, basically after high school. I mean, it was all their lives, but I mean, I just think of it in this way where I go, and then you hit 30 and it's like, it's a time to kind of celebrate and like look back on things. And you're the two guys who are also there for all those things that you're known for and shit. Like, they release, I mean, a mean fucking song. I mean, like, this isn't just goodbye. This is I can't stand you. Like, there's not even, it's a great line, but it's not even metaphorical or trying to be, like, it's so straightforward. It's more of just a sentence more than anything. It's not even like trying to be poetry. It's just like, fuck you. Like, it's not like, it's like, no, like, this is bad. Like, I don't forgive. It's basically like, yeah, like, fuck you. I don't forgive you. Like, it's over, Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, this song, if you think about this versus any breakup song I think that Mark's written, I think this one might have more emotion and, like, drives the point home more than any, like, not that he writes a lot of, like, bitter breakup songs, but, like, if you think of any other songs he's written about, like, relationships and shit like that, I don't know that any seem to have had the same effect that the one with Tom, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for
losing
sure. Yeah.
that relationship.
Yeah.
It also, I think, shows, though, too, like, how much, like, I do truly, and looking back even more now, even though you knew at the, like, the whole time that, a lot of this about Blink and shit, but, like, looking back now, I think it shows you how much Tom really was the reason they broke up, because Mark, even just the way, like it's very obvious, even just like his anger and bitterness towards it. He didn't want, he wanted that band to continue. He was proud, even now, the way that both of them kind of talk or handle the legacy. I mean, I think Mark is a lot more, infatuated's not really the word, but I mean, you can tell the difference. You know what I mean? Like, they both kind of come at the legacy of Blink, I think, in two different ways. And I think Mark might celebrate it in more of a legacy way than Tom does.
Yeah.
Which actually does make sense, because I know there's actually a recent interview Tom did where he said something like, and it does make sense. Like, I think if Blink did an album, I also saw people talk about it in the comments underneath, which was a great point. Like Neighborhoods at the time, Tom didn't want to fall back on the legacy of Blink. He wanted to continue doing something. He said this in an interview recently, like, if they were to do it now, 10 years later, he doesn't need Blink to sound like that anymore. He has his outlets. He has ways to do that. Whereas I think like with Mark, like, I think he's more like, I think Tom's maybe now more in a place where he would if he was to come back to Blink, I think legacy would be in mind more, where there would be more of a thought of, let's make it sound a little more like, whether it would be Dude Ranch or Enema or whatever, that would maybe be more of a thought than he was trying to do on Neighborhoods. But I think Mark has kind of already been there, where he was more like once they got back together, even like the legacy and shit of Blink, where Tom, whether it was good or not, I think did want to move it forward in a different way. Where like the legacy, it didn't matter so much to Tom that they do it the same way or play fast punk. Like Blink and Tom, like not now, but even 10 years ago, Blink in Tom's mind could have been a big, like, fucking, even the live show could have been more like, like lights and like lasers and shit like that, and more synths and stuff. Like, I don't think he would have been against it. Like, I think he would he would have even maybe thrown in like a live guitarist or something like that, like, had he had his way. Whereas now I think he's kind of backed the fuck up and went like, no, that's not what Blink is. But I think it just also shows, like, where I think, not that Mark doesn't want to do things outside of Blink and that he hasn't done things outside of Blink, but I think Mark, really legacy-wise, just how they both handle it, are just two very different ways.
Yeah.
But, this fucking, getting back to this song, though, this bitter, angry song, I mean, I love it. It's just, it's another one where just, it's executed just perfectly. I mean, like you said too, even the song title is great and just fucking fits everything about it. The mood works. I do think this is the one song on this record where Travis can kind of, not in the beginning so much, but on the second half, like Travis comes out, like his playing and shit, you know what I mean? Like the signature Travis, I think you hear on the second half of the song.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know,
because again, it's a whole slow build. So like once he kind of comes in that second verse, you know, and then kind of gets towards the end, it's like, to me, it's like signature Travis.
But I love that, like in the first half, talk about like, you know, how he can tastefully play. There's those parts where he's just hitting the snare and it echoes for a minute, like for a few measures. That's perfect. It adds so much to the song, yet he's doing fucking nothing. He's hitting the snare, and there's some there's like echo on it. It's I don't know, like everything about it works really well. I mean, I think knowing, again, I do think that the whole like folklore around it, the legend that is around it, and just the story and just everything does add to the song. But I mean, even if you didn't know that, it does stand alone as just a really good fucking song.
Absolutely. I was going to say that.
You know, but anything to add for No It Isn't?
No, I'm all good.
All right. We are, I'd say doing pretty good time. And on to the second to last song, make you smile. And the thing that I kind of talked to you about this last week, but what I like about this song is if you know much about the beginning of Plus 44, it was originally supposed to be, or not even originally, when Mark and Travis started it, it did sound more, maybe not electronica, but like, you know, more.
Yeah, had more of that vibe.
Yeah, had more of that vibe, you know, kind of Postal Service, electric drums and stuff. They were programming them mostly out of necessity because of recording at night at their houses. But it was just more of that vibe in this song. And also they had Carol, who the female vocals on this song, who was supposed to basically be like their lead singer, co-lead singer with Mark. And this song to me is what I imagine Plus 44 was originally supposed to sound like. Like this is the song that, like, this is what the rest of the album was probably going to sound like had they not added the rock element to it.
Yeah, it would have been more of a Postal Service vibe, like through and through, if they didn't go full band. Yeah,
like and like I wouldn't totally hate it. I love the fucking rock side of this record, but like this song's really good. Like it's another one where it's kind of it's not your conventional it's not totally like, it's not a crazy like weird song, but it's not, I think, the conventional Mark Hoppus song either. Like I like him. I like the back and forth with the male and female vocals.
Oh, it's so good. I wish there was more of it. Like not just on this album, but I just wish I wish Blink could have tried to incorporate like women a couple more times on some other songs.
That would sound that
on later stuff more specifically, but yeah.
No, I would like to hear that. That wouldn't be bad. That would be more female vocals, and then obviously someone else who I'd like to hear more on those songs. But this song, Make You Smile, the other thing, like which is so interesting that I like about it, is you go from No It Isn't, the arguably the heaviest song on the whole fucking record, to then the quietest, quaintest song on the whole thing.
And it's such a beautiful song too. Like the call and response, and it is. It's like you go from pure hatred to like pure love, and I thought was really, really good, like really well done.
It's so interesting too, because you have No It Isn't feels like the end of something. Like it's about the demise of something, the end of, and even though No It Isn't, I guess lyrically in a way, you know what I mean, it is kind of about, you know, breakup or whatever. It's not particularly like, it doesn't sound like things are going great in the song, like just a straightforward happy love song, but like just the difference in the feeling. Like No It Isn't gives me this feeling of the end of something and bitter and angriness, and Make You Smile just makes me kind of like, it's kind of the beginning of something, or it's a better mood. It puts you in a different place. It puts you in a different mindset.
Yeah, definitely. It's a total night and day. And like I said, it goes from like really dark and like hatred to like really light, happy, and like pure love. And like, I don't know, something about that is just so intriguing to me, that like you can have songs like that like, you know, even the song before No It Isn't, which was Weatherman, Like that's a dark song
That's
as
a dark
well.
fucking
So like,
song.
and like it's weird how like on the like I guess you could say like on this side of the album, besides like cliff diving, like if you're going side A side B, like this is
And I
like the
am.
only this is like the only other like happy like, and this is the song with the most love in
Yeah.
it on this side of it on the record. And I think I don't know, something about that is so cool to me because usually something like this you would either hear like very early on, like kind of like in like a baby come on spot,
Yeah.
or this would be like the weird like acoustic last song on the record.
Ooh. This could be a good album closer. To be
Oh, yeah.
honest, this really could fucking close this album really well. Now you said earlier you would like maybe move some shit around. Is there a place you would move this song? Like like you just said some, but I mean, is there an ideal place you think you would put it?
I mean, I would put it early. Like a number 2 spot would be good, but then I'd have to move Baby Come On somewhere.
And where would you
But,
put
like,
that? That's a hard
ba-
one.
Baby Come On.
Yeah.
I would probably put this probably
Because
kinda like
do you put
starting-
it really
I-
close to make you smile, or do you need to separate them?
no. So like what I would do, like I would say like if we're talking like in your sense, like I'd put Make You Smile like number 2, and then Baby Come On would be the start of side B.
God damn, dude, I like that a lot. I'm not even kidding. I really fucking like that. That legit is a... See, you're starting to see the way of my side A, side B. I can tell by the way you even just fucking said that, dude.
Well,
You're falling into this
because
shit. No,
because
you're
I'm used to
falling in.
you. I'm used to you saying it.
I learned it from you, Dad. Fucking,
Oh shit!
I don't care what you say, dude. You're falling into this. You're gonna start looking at things this way because that was the perfect. You're becoming me, motherfucker. Because that was the perfect. You're making me think about this and go, God damn, what a perfect way to start side B.
If I call you and ask you what a good record player is, then you know there's problems.
Oh, it's happening, dude. It's gonna happen, fucking next week, bro.
Nope.
Yes. Anyway. Anyway, I mean, yeah, like the contrast of going from No It Isn't to Make You Smile, I really fucking love it. The other thing too is, I mean, the easy one in my eyes, it sounds very Postal Service. I know that's like the main band I keep just saying over and over again as comparison.
Well, that was a big influence on this, so it makes sense.
It was, and I think on this song specifically, it was, and I also think it would have been a bigger influence on what they were originally going to sound like. But the other thing that I don't think you hear is much on the surface, but I do think is there, is Mark's love of Clarity. Like fucking Jimmy Eat World, like on Clarity, the again, because that album doesn't sound like Plus 44 or anything, but that is a band who's mixing like the rock element with like, you know, like electronics and little synths and like little things here and there, like with like programming. Yeah. And you can hear that, I think, on here, where if you think of Mark, like the albums that Mark loves and his influences, I mean, Jimmy Eat World, Clarity, and how much he loves, has been outspoken about how much he loves that album, I would say is bled into this album. Because even on this song, I hear like, you know, like the fucking long ass outro of Goodbye Sky Harbor and like things like that, where like, but even the drums, like the spacing of the drums, even, because there's like, they do that very well on Clarity, where like the drums aren't always just a really straightforward, like, you know, fucking 4/4 beat. Like they are kind of like spaced out, and it is kind of like sometimes you'll just get a random snare hit and stuff like that. And I mean, obviously Travis doesn't, you know, I think Travis comes from a different place, so I can't say his drumming is so much influenced by it, but there is shit on here where I go, I think 100% there is Jimmy Eat World influence that it may not be the first band you think of when you think of this album, but specifically Clarity, I think you hear that album's influence on this record, and specifically on Make You Smile.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, I fucking love this song, but I don't have much else to say about this one. You got anything?
Yeah, no.
All right, and yeah, I mean, as we get into the final song here, chapter 13, this is just like Lycanthrope, you know, as we were talking about the sequencing, I think is a good like opener to the record. This is a good bookend. I think this is it's a good way to end the album, I think. Like, I don't know, because in a way, you know, Make You Smile, I go, fuck. I kind of like this alternate universe we're making where that's the album closer. But this one I like because the song is like, it's not too, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't leave you in a dark place or anything like that. Like I feel like this is a hopeful sounding song, maybe even more than Make You Smile, where I think it's ending the album on a better note than maybe the album is sometimes on.
I don't know, because like for me, like this song, like this song does feel dark. Like
you think so?
Well, I guess because like, so I've never been like a huge fan of this song. This is like towards the lower end on like the album for me as far as like the songs that I like. But like for me, like this is one of the songs that like, I listen to lyrically a lot, and it's like lyrically it's very much about suicide, or like about how like you're a mess, or like I'll be like, I'm a mess, like I'm a wreck, like I feel like shit, and the other person's fine. Like I don't know, like it's an interesting feeling that I get when I hear this song, but I guess like for the most part, like this whole song just kind of fucks with my mind a little bit.
Just see, that's interesting. I didn't know where this one would fall for you, but I guess I for some reason thought you'd be more, and as I say, favorable again. Not that you fucking hate this song, but I guess I would have thought it was like, I guess higher up there. See, it's funny the darkness you hear, because to me, I don't know. I guess lyrically, I do see where you're coming from. I guess I'm thinking more, and again, it's that deceptive thing where musically I'm thinking more of, but it's like, to me, there's something about it that feels, it feels, if I listen to this album, I don't know if I can explain. This might be it's going to be, I do this every time we do this, but my terrible fucking example or metaphor, but like, it's almost like it's a really, I don't know, a fucking dark, it's a slasher movie, and the whole time people are getting murdered and you're just trying to survive the night, and like this song is the next day driving into the sunlight, like you're like the only fucking one who survived. And not that this album sounds like that, but it's like it's coming out of this dark thing, and this is like there's something next, you know what I mean? And in this case, not about fucking surviving a fucking slasher. It's about finding what's after Blink. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like in this example, it would be this album about the breakup of Blink and how it's affected Mark. And then this song is kind of moving on. I think even the lyric in it, I don't think this song is about Blink, but I'm even looking at a lyric like, and we'll both take our revenge, but we still won't feel any better. Almost like we can take all the shots we want. We can talk, and you can apply this to anything, but with this, applying it to Blink, it's that idea of, yeah, shit's fucked. It's all over. You know, you can write as many no it isn't as you want, but Blink's not coming back. You know what I mean? You can be as bitter as you want, but it's done. It's over. And I mean, really more specifically, that's probably more, he might be talking more about just a relationship or something. But I mean, if you want to apply it to that, it is kind of that, the admitting, because again, this album is so much of fuck you, fuck this about Blink, you know, it sucks that it's over. But this one's kind of that, all right, shit's fucked up, but it's like, it's not, it doesn't, like the bitterness isn't going to do me any good, so I just need to move on.
Yeah. Yeah, like I really love the music on this. Like this is another one of those songs where like I really like the music.
Music's very solid.
And like I can appreciate the lyrics. I don't like the lyrics, but I appreciate them. But I do really like the music on this song.
Yeah, the music, if I was going to take one over the other, yeah, I like the music more than I don't mind the lyrics, but the music is the real, because I think it's anthemic. The chorus, which I like the most, is just, in my opinion, it's big and anthemic. Like, it's not that this song sounds like Angels and Airwaves, but it's like since Tom kind of went more for the anthemic choruses and shit, like I feel like with Angels and Airwaves, this song has that big rock anthemic. Like honestly, this song sounds like one I would hear in like an arena. Like if there's Angels and Airwaves write songs that sound like they should all mostly be played in arenas. Plus 44 doesn't have that feeling as much, but this song kind of does. Like this is a big rock song that I could hear like in a fucking arena, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. Like I said, musically, I like it. I can picture that kind of. Like I can picture this like maybe not like big anthemic, you know, like vibes, but I can see where you're going at with this. Mm-hmm. The one thing, like I guess the big thing that always threw me off about this song, and it's really not the song itself, but it's it's so like in my head, like, it's the last track of the album. It's called Chapter 13, but it's track 12, and it's randomly 5 minutes long. Like it's so in my head that like nothing makes sense with this song.
Well, now wait. Now I am with you on not making sense, and I didn't realize, to be honest, I assumed it was track 13 because it was called Chapter 13. I did not realize it's only 12 fucking tracks.
No, that's the thing that like ticks me off so much, is that it's the 12th track on this song.
That part's fucking stupid. But the thing about the length of the oh no, because you're right. 5 minutes is how long the song is. You're taking out the silence, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, technically.
Okay, never mind. Because I was gonna say that. Never mind. Then I can't disagree with you there. Because I mean, we haven't brought it up yet, but if you didn't know, and I didn't until doing research for this, but this fucking album is exactly 44 minutes long, and I go, those dirty motherfuckers, and then at first I was impressed because I'm like, how did they do that? And then listening to this song, I realized it's all that fucking silence at the end that equals out to 44 minutes.
Yeah, it's like 15 seconds or so of just pure silence.
So originally that's what I thought you were just talking about, but you weren't. You're just talking about the song. But here's the thing. The song is like 5 minutes long, but I think it goes by really fast. It doesn't feel like a 5 minute song.
This whole record goes by on me really fast. And it's a 44-minute like long
that's not
album.
Super short.
So yeah, like it feels so short. Like every time I get to Know It Isn't, I know I'm at the end of the record, and I'm like, whoa, I'm already here. Like, what the fuck happened?
It is funny because No It Isn't, even though it's not the last song, I'm the same way where once you hit that, you're like, I'm at home stretch. Like this thing's all but done.
Yeah, and like not counting Chapter 13, but like you have to get through 3 other 4-minute songs to get to that point.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it just like for me, it just breezes by.
It's this whole album. It is weird because, like, even though with Ava, like those songs are like longer, those songs feel fucking long. Like an Ava song feels like We Don't Need to Whisper feels like a long record.
Yeah,
this album doesn't.
What's funny is We Don't Need to Whisper has 10 tracks for 49, almost 50 minutes.
Holy fuck!
And When Your Heart Stops Beating has 2 more extra songs and is about 5 minutes shorter.
God damn.
Almost 6 minutes shorter.
And all that is intros, I feel like, on the Angels and Airwaves. All that like extra time, those are all just fucking intros.
The shortest song on We Don't Need to Whisper is over 4 minutes.
God damn. You don't need to whisper, but you need to cut down the fucking lengths of your songs.
It's 4 minutes and 11 seconds, and it's the last song on the album.
God damn! I need to go back and listen to that. I have not listened to that one in a while. Speaking of like these, because this album going back has aged really fucking well, and I don't know about Whisper, but anyway, that's for another time. But Chapter 13, getting back to that, I mean, is it one? I will ask you, would it kill you if it was not on the album? Let me ask you that. It wouldn't bother you.
It would not bother me at all.
Are there any other songs on this that would, like, interlude not really needing to count, but I mean, are there any other songs on this album, if they were off, you would either not care or would even, you think, improve the album at all? Because I will say I don't think taking anything away would improve it. Like, I think this album overall, even though I like some songs more, like When Your Heart Stops Beating kind of has to be on there. It's the title track and shit. And it still has a warm place in my heart no matter what I think about it because it was my introduction.
Sure,
so I think I'll always have that where like I'll have a problem getting rid of it entirely in this scenario. But like, I don't know. I feel overall the album, it's interesting because I didn't think sequencing needed much changing until you brought that up, but I do think it could be. I do think you could move some things around and it would be neat, but I don't know that I'd take anything away.
I noted specifically cliff diving to interlude to Weatherman. Like for me, that just seemed like there was like those 3 songs didn't flow well together too well, but like Weatherman to Know It Isn't to Make You Smile was really good.
That is a good one.
But 7, 8, 9, I guess it's because the vibes are so different between the 3. I don't know, because No It Doesn't Make You Smile is a big change too. But
there are
maybe that's
highlights. What you're saying,
maybe just
though?
this is the vibe, like lyrically the vibe and stuff like. But I guess like going from like Summertime Happiness to like just an instrumental, like an electronic instrumental, to something super dark.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess
jumps
I don't
around
know.
a little bit.
Yeah, but then again, like No It Isn't to Make You Smile, I think is like you couldn't do it any other way.
I will say overall, there are though moments where there are highlight. What you're saying, like there are 2 or 3 song streaks here and there where I go really strong there, and it's not even that the like next song is terrible, but it kind of breaks that, like, I guess, of it being a perfectly, what you're saying, being like a perfectly sequenced record. I guess I can't say that, because you're right. It will hit these streaks of like, these 2 songs work well together, and it's not that the next song sucks or anything like that. It could be a good song. It's just maybe it's not going in there as well, which also, well, I don't know. He may have, I think at that point, Jerry Finn probably, I don't know if they had it sequenced by the time he got there or not, but I mean, you could also say that that's your first time kind of sequencing a record if it's, you know, Mark and Travis doing it. But I don't think it's, like, I don't hate the sequencing, but now that you say it, I think there's improvements that I never realized could have been there.
Sure, yeah.
And that's why you're here.
Yeah.
You're a fucking ball of fucking bright sunshine, bro.
Look at
But
that.
I mean, anything else to add to that as we're I mean, I guess these are closing statements. Anything to add to this record as a whole, really?
I mean, not necessarily. Like I loved like that they were able to at least start out electronically and keep some of that throughout the record.
I'd
I
love
wish
to
I
hear
could've
more
seen-
of that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that would have been great.
Yeah, either hearing the album how it should have been, or maybe like album number 2 could have been more experimental with that stuff.
Okay, now here, and I know I don't want to like open more shit as we're closing here, but like something I do want to say about that is the only problem, because I thought you were going to say that maybe they would do that on the second record. I don't think they could have committed to it on record 2. I think it would have either been the first record, that was their chance, or not at all. I don't think you would have heard them dive more into that on the second record, to be honest.
It's totally possible, but I still wish I could have at least gotten more of it in some way, shape, or form.
I also think the label wouldn't let that happen, because already, like, Plus 44, like, again, already saying, I don't think the label saw them as a big moneymaker. I think if they went even more that way, they would have really been like, you motherfuckers really ain't, like, this is nothing like Blink.
That's kind of why I almost feel like maybe it could work, because on the second record, maybe they wouldn't even have been on Interscope then. Maybe it would have been more.
If they would have self-released, I would have loved to hear a self-released Plus 44 follow-up, because honestly, I do think that would have made a difference, whether it was on a label or self-released, the follow-up on where they would have went musically.
Yeah.
I do think that would have, I think played, I don't know, maybe not the entire album would change, but I would say that you would see differences 100%.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, man, I mean, this is great. I mean, anything else to throw on here?
As a last random note, out of sheer curiosity, and this, you can take this out or you can leave this in, I don't really care. Out of curiosity, when is this episode dropping?
It is dropping not this Monday, the following Monday, which would be the 20th.
Dang it.
Oh, on Tom's birthday?
I was really hoping we can drop it on Tom's birthday.
Oh
and
my
be like, this
God.
episode is not. No, it's not about Plus 44's album. When Your Heart Stops Beating.
Dog, I didn't even think about it that the 13th is his fucking birthday, dude.
Look at that.
Fuck.
See, like I said on the text, man. I'm always thinking ahead for you,
bro. Do I have to move things around? Is this coming out? You know what?
And then you don't have to. It's I just thought it was so funny. Like I thought about that really early on in this.
All right, this is coming out on Tom's birthday. We have to. We have to. You also know why? Because didn't we release? I think we released the Boxcar Racer one. We did. We released it on his birthday last year. Because in parentheses, it's Boxcar Racer, parentheses, happy birthday, Tom DeLonge.
Holy shit, look how far we've come.
Oh, wait, technicality, and I'm sorry. And then I'll quit. Technically, we recorded that podcast Sunday, which was his birthday last year. It came out Monday the following day.
Okay.
This year, this will be released on his actual birthday.
Oh, boy. No, well,
Wait, that won't work.
No worries, man. This is
okay. It's not coming out. No, it's going on the 20th.
We're thinking in real time.
I just realized something about the radio show that means it would really fuck it up if I did it next week, because I already have an interview that's being played on Monday.
Is it an interview with David Kennedy?
Yeah.
About how messed up Tom was.
Yeah, it actually, with fucking David Kennedy and Ryan Sin.
Oh wow, what a pull.
Yeah, I found him outside of Carl's Jr.
You know what? That's probably where you find him hanging out with Shane and Craig as well.
And inside, taking the orders, the bass player from Boxcar Racer, the live bass player. I'm not talking shit. I got love for you. I would fucking interview any of them. I would love to talk to any of them. I don't know where any of them are. All of those people seem to not exist on the internet.
Unless they're associated with the bigger bands.
I guess so. But this is fucking awesome. I mean, thank you for listening. At Power Chord Hour, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. Subscribe, rate, review if you would. Appreciate it. And new radio shows every Friday night, 10 to midnight Eastern on 107.9 WRFA. Check it out online, WRFALP.com. And, I mean, you are the guest, Kyle, so closing remarks here. I mean, whatever you want to say right now, we will close on it.
Oh, man, the pressure. What do I do? How do I close it out?
And I already did. I hit pause. It's over. Oh, wait, I did it. It's still going. Fuck. Say something. Say something.
I do all my own stunts.